everybody to another BDA Boxing podcast. This is your host, Mr. BDA, and along with me, my co-host, King Bucho. King, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Sensational. Right from the get-go, I gotta ask you guys, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe to BDA Live and our regular channel, BDA Boxing, for a lot of fun. A lot of great content, in my opinion. I don't know, I could be wrong, Bucho, maybe it's crap. But like I always say, you gotta get to the crap to get to the gold. People in the chat room, shout out to Pavel, Luke Peterson, Nico Pass 6. BDA, where is X nowadays? Asks Luke. Need him back on the show, he's chaos. Well, he came in once, and then he never showed up again. I know he hates Recognize the Matrix and Cameron, but he likes me and he likes Bucho as well, so can't hate a guy that enjoys good, that has good taste. If he enjoys listening to the show, then he probably enjoys fine wine, good-looking women, high-level, high-quality steaks, primo stuff, and probably only the best gonzo porn in the market. Bucho, a lot going on in the news right now. What have you heard through the grapevine when it comes to boxing?
I was reading about Jacobs. Sorry, what's his name again? Adonis Stevenson and Badu Jack. And there's conflicting information as to why they're doing it in Toronto. I saw an interview where Yvon Michel says that he wanted to do it in Toronto, then he called Al Heyman, and there's another. I read another article where it says that it was Al Heyman's idea from the get-go to move the event to Toronto. So I don't know what's going on. And the Kovalev against Alvarez fight may take place in Laval, Quebec. So that's good.
So is that the same
If
place
you live
where
in the area?
is that the same place where Lemieux versus Saunders took place?
Yep.
Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Now here's a question, because I was talking blabbering long and strong last evening about Stevenson versus Jack, but that's true. We never even talked about what's his name, Alvarez versus Kovalev. I mean, I know we talked about it in another episode a little bit briefly, but I mean, what do you think about that fight? Is that a winnable fight for Alvarez? Is it worse than, are his chances better against Stevenson than against Kovalev? I mean, what do you think?
I think he has more of a chance against Stevenson. I think Kovalev's he's better than Stevenson. I always thought that.
Did you know?
Yeah, and now that Stevenson is even older, I mean, I just think Kovalev is better than Stevenson.
Well, there you have it. I mean,
I think, Alvarez had a better chance of beating Stevenson, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, a lot of that had to do with the age factor, like I said.
And also, if you think about it, when Alvarez now at this point, he's beaten the best Canadian super middleweights and light heavyweights in his division. He knocked out Bute, he beat outboxed Jean Pascal. I mean, you gotta give him credit for fighting those guys and beating them. Now the only big Canadian name that's left for him is Stevenson and Beterbiev. But I mean, this whole PBC thing with Alvarez, it seems to me like he's been asked to step aside, and he doesn't really quite like it.
I don't know if he likes it or not. I think he did mention in an article that he thinks that Kovalev is more popular than Stevenson. So I think he was taking a little shot at Stevenson. I
see. No, I see. Well, if you're a Canadian boxing fan, you gotta love the fact that there's Alvarez, Beterbiev, and Stevenson in the same division. I think they would make for excellent fights. I think Alvarez is always he's a classic boxer puncher, and he always delivers the goods, in my opinion. I mean, I liked the Jean Pascal fight. I thought he outboxed Jean Pascal, who was showing that he still had fast hands. But man, Alvarez just stuck that jab in his face and never allowed him to get started. And then again, there was history between them, in sparring and all that. Okay, Bucho, people are talking, because I mentioned that X probably enjoys fine porn, and now Pavel says Brazilian fart porn is a patrician's choice. Mighty Claire says, what about Brazilian Muppet fart porn? So they're going on and on about porn now, which is a
What's going
conversation.
on? What the fuck is even gonzo porn?
I don't want to get into it, but it's a conversation that I didn't want to start right away. But you know how it is here at BDA Boxing. We can't control the people in the chat room. They're animals. I mean, I would go to war with them. I would go to war with them at any point in the history of the world. But I gotta tell you can't control them. They're out of their minds. Realistic Boxing says, X was on Boxing's Beaten Rhymes hangout the other night. Crazy and funny. Yeah, X is proving to be a guy that just doesn't give a fuck. He will go, you know, he's like a marauder in those Mad Max movies. He just moves from podcast to podcast, terrorizing everybody. Really, that's why I'm scared of the guy. And I'm glad he likes me, because I don't want to have him as an enemy. Pavel says, call me the beast from the east. Luke Peterson says, the chat room is like a piranha tank. That is a perfect metaphor for this fucking chat room. Dr. Steelhammer says, true questions are being asked here. Not only true questions, but the most important questions. Questions that make you think, make you ponder, and really show you the nature of humanity. That's what we do here at BDA Boxing. Luke Peterson says, X is Cyrus the Virus. Cyrus the Virus.
What is it, from the movie or what?
I don't know. Well, he wrote it Cyrus with an S. And the guy from Con Air was with a C. What was the other character Danny Trejo played in that movie? Like he was a rapist with a bunch of tattoos of all the women he'd raped.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Each heart for one of his, what do you call them? Marranitas or something? Really twisted stuff right there. Cthulhu Caesar says, X and BDA shall meet each other on the battlefield. You know what? If we meet on the battlefield, I mean, X likes me and all that, but if we go into the battlefield, I guarantee you only one of us is coming out alive. There's no mercy will be shown. Luke Peterson says, yeah, Con Air, my mistake. Realistic Boxing says, like Miley. I don't know what the fuck that. Giselle Saragosa, shout out to Giselle, says, finally heard X today. Damn, that shit is funny as hell. Yeah, it's funny until it happens to you in your podcast. It's not so funny anymore, is it? Or when he's calling you. What's that?
What do you mean? What happened?
Apparently he went on, well, Cameron told me that X went on Low Places podcast, and then he went on Boxing Beats and Rhymes podcast, and now I'm looking at my hangout here. This fucking guy, he wants to come on. He says, BDA, let me on for 3 or 5 minutes. I have a few things to say.
Who is it?
X. He wants to come on.
I say we give him a shot.
I don't think that's a good idea, man, honestly. Well, but okay, you know what? He says he likes us, so we always say that the philosophy of BDA Boxing is to let anybody in, so people are saying, yeah, let him in. Hey, listen, I can't go against the audience. I'm a sucker for the audience. All right, Butcher, you wanna handle that?
Yeah.
Sensational. Meanwhile, before X gets here, there's a lot to talk about. Jacobs is talking about our favorite boxing moment, which is his confrontation, if you even want to call it that, against Jermall Charlo. Also in the news, apparently Adrian Broner against Vargas this past Saturday did very good numbers. Very good numbers, close to a million.
Oh, it was 800 something, no?
Right, but that's, that to me, that's close. I mean, you round it up, that's close to 1 million, right?
Yes.
Or maybe I need to sharpen up on my math. But here's the thing, Bucho Broner, for despite what people say, despite people saying that he's finished and he's overrated and blah, 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 he still manages to bring in the numbers, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's controversial outside the ring. He has a lot of heart. If he's in, I don't know. Why do you think he decided to bang it out in this fight?
Maybe because he's found the fire. I don't know. Maybe maybe it was a styles matchup. Maybe Vargas doesn't hit as hard as we thought. But I've said it long and hard before. I think Broner is underrated. People saw him lose against Maidana, but they didn't see the grit that he showed. They didn't see the fact that Sean Porter couldn't completely maul him. They didn't see that he actually
Maidana cheated.
Oh boy. X, I gotta tell you, man. I was a little ambivalent about letting you in here because we're talking about Broner being a polarizing figure. I heard people are telling me that you went on other podcasts and you started terrorizing them, and you haven't done that here, but I mean, you're quite unpredictable. I gotta tell you, I don't know quite what to do with you.
Well, BDA, they're spreading lies. I didn't terrorize nobody. I went on low place hangout and they jumped me. Okay, I got jumped by a bunch of UK slaves. That's what happened.
Wait, what's can you define what's a UK slave?
I don't think it was, Anthony Joshua fans. They're a whole bunch of slaves.
But why
the word? My business. I'm being honest. I ain't terrorized nobody. Ask low place. Okay, if he's gonna tell the truth, now
I will ask him.
Lie about me. Now, if you're gonna lie about me, that's different.
You know what? I'm gonna ask low place. I still have him on Hangouts, despite the fact that people didn't want him on the show anymore. But I think we're still on open lines of communication, and I'm gonna ask him because what you're doing. Listen, we're running a show here.
I'm sorry, BDA. I was being peaceful. Okay, I went over there to debate low place. Next thing you know, I'm surrounded by a bunch of UK slaves.
Okay, you gotta stop saying that, man.
Top of me. They didn't let me talk. They're over there asking me stupid questions like, "Who the greatest basketball player from Queens?" Motherfucker, I don't know who the greatest basketball player from Queens. Me, I think I'm the greatest. Okay, so I'm trying to talk. No place is trying to stop them from jumping in. They didn't listen. The only thing I can say about low place, you got to get better control of the show. If you ask me, that's all I got to say.
All right. Well, did you tell him that?
I tried to tell them, but these slaves kept talking over me.
Okay, you gotta stop using the word slaves. That's highly offensive for a lot of people out there.
Well, I mean, look, man, I apologize, but I call it like I see it. I don't like them dudes out there. How about that? I don't like them UK dudes out there.
Why not, though? I mean, they got a good culture over there, good food, the fry-ups, chips and fish and all that.
I'm down with Deontay. That's it. I ain't down with him. That's what it comes down to. You know what?
All right.
You know how I tell it, man. That's my thing. You ain't down with Deontay. I ain't down with you. But anyway, BDA, I'm gonna watch the show. I gotta get out of here because I'm on the run. People trying to take me down. You know what I'm saying? I can't explain. I really can't explain on the air, but I gotta get out of here.
Oh, please, don't explain it. We don't want to become accessories to the fact or whatever they call it. We don't want to get involved. We don't want the police knocking on our doors and asking us, "Do you know this gentleman?" And then they show us a photo of your bullet-riddled body. Although, from what I hear, people have been shooting at you since you were 15 years old, and all they hit is air. Is that right?
That's right, man. They should call me the Matrix. I ain't gonna curse, but that other dude that you be having on your show.
Come on, say his name.
I'm gonna say F him.
No.
F him. Okay. I didn't curse BDA. All I said was F him. That's
no, but I mean, but what I'm saying is, if you really hate the guy, call him by his name. You know what I mean? Say his name. That's what you got to do. You got to put him out there, right? You hate him. You can't go around saying, "Oh, that guy," or his name. You got to go at him. You got to say who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Recognize the bitch. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, all right.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to, again, I didn't mean to curse.
X, this is a family show,
BDA, man. I don't want to get you in trouble. I'm on the run. Gotta go.
All right, X. Thank you for not hijacking the show. We appreciate you coming in and giving us the up and up, keeping us up to date with what's going on down there in the streets. And you take care out there, all right?
Thank you. And Bucho, what up?
Not much, man. Guys, you should check out his channel, X, 100% X. He keeps it real all the time, and it's very entertaining.
One last thing. My channel may not be for you. I'm highly offensive. That's all I got to say. Peace.
I find that hard to believe, but...
Thank you, BDA. You're the best.
Oh, yeah. And hook me up if I'm in Atlanta, hook me up with one of your lady friends, the ones you employ in your stable.
Oh, I was thinking about that, BDA. I was thinking about that. Remember I told you for the right price?
That's right.
For you, for free. Everybody else on that panel, they got to pay.
Well, you know what? You just became a Hall of Famer to the BDA Boxing organization. You can come in anytime you want, man.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. And tell Apology, man, stop coming on my show, on my channel, talking about, do you want these hands? Of course I want these hands. Let's go.
All right, X. Thank you for jumping in and keeping us up to date.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, see ya. It was X, ladies and gentlemen. The one, the only X. He's starting to become a big name in the YouTube community. He wants to take on all comers. He's not afraid of anybody, and he won't stop saying it. So, I mean, I'm glad he likes us, but you never know when he's gonna turn on somebody, Bucho. Or maybe I'm a cynical bastard. I don't know, but like I said, the guy scares me.
Yeah, you can't really trust X,
Well, I mean, listen. I mean, have you ever met a guy who's been in his line of business who lives to be 60 years old? I mean, if they do, it's because they probably either snitched on somebody or backstab somebody, or they're just ruthless and relentless, and they will take you down if they go down. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me tell you, man, I want to talk to X because I think that his life could be turned into a movie. You know, it's that exciting. It's full of thrills and chills. So I think you would agree with me, no?
Yeah, I would agree with you, but like every movie, there would have, you know, some every movie you have to add a couple of inaccuracies just to make it more entertaining.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you wouldn't have to do that with X. His life is entertaining enough. It would make for a sensational movie. Just don't touch anything. Just put everything on paper as a screenwrite. I mean, as a script, screenplay, and maybe you get yourself a box office.
You would actually have to tone it down a bit, man.
Actually, that's a good point. That's true. I mean, especially that infamous orgy scene in that Atlanta SCD clinic. I mean, that right there is the stuff of legends, man. I mean, you can't film that. Film can't capture the intensity of what went on that day. All right, people in the chat room are saying they call him X is Boris the Bullet Dodger. Nicola Ferrari calls him Xander Cage X. Luke Peterson says Bullet Tooth X because he dodges bullets. Bootleg DMX. I mean, this is the thing about X, man. I mean, you either like him, I mean, you either love him or you hate him. There's no in between. And I'm still undecided where I fall in that category. Because, I mean, I can't excuse somebody with his type of sordid past. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm a law-abiding citizen, and I do believe in rules and regulations to maintain a healthy and stable society. And some of the stuff he does can be, yeah, it can be pretty rough, you know? Speaking of rough, Keith Thurman, Bucho, says he's planning to come back in the summer. Now he's talking about coming back this summer. Silly me. I thought he was going to come back because of his injuries and all that. He was going to come back in either September or 2019. Now it turns out he plans to come back in the summer. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty happy about that.
I don't really care because I'm expecting him to fight. I don't want to say a bum, but I just said it.
Okay, but even if he does fight a bum, I'm talking about the promise that he's gonna eventually fight some of the top names. Spence, what's his name? Porter, maybe a rematch.
Oh, that's not a guarantee at all, especially with the PBC and all these fake injuries. I mean,
I know, but eventually he always ends up fighting the best. I mean, he fought Porter, he fought Garcia.
Yeah, maybe in 2019. Yeah.
Maybe in 2020.
Yeah, it's a step forward. I agree with you. It's a step forward. It's not a fight I'm looking forward to because, like I said, I expect Thurman to fight a bomb. Let's be honest, a bomb. And so, I don't know. I'm not excited at all. Good news for him in his career, I guess, but for a boxing fan, I don't think it's something exciting.
All right. Well, sticking to the welterweight division, which I love to talk about this division because I really like any matchup that gets made between the top 4 guys in there, and even if you add Terence Crawford in there, Bucho, there, you know, like I said last evening, that Porter and Garcia might end up fighting, and already Angel.
Oh, they will. They will.
They will.
The WBC, the WBC said that the winner becomes the champion.
Okay. Well, Angel Garcia, Danny Garcia's father and trainer, is already up to his old tricks. He's starting to talk some smack. I don't know exactly what he said. I just saw the headline, but I'm assuming it has something to do with how his fighter is harder, how his fighter has a bigger dick because he's from Philadelphia. I mean, is that a fight? I talked about the stylistic matchup between that fight. Do you think that could create fireworks, or could we see another potential Sean Porter clutch and grab, boring type affair?
It has the potential to become an explosive fight. I mean, Porter will fight the way he always does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's gonna be up to Danny Garcia to try not to clinch. But it's difficult not to clinch when a guy's so fucking rushing at you, fucking head first. Sometimes, you know, you're gonna have to grab him. So, I don't know. Not really sure. Now, the fact that the reason why the Danny Garcia Keith Thurman fight wasn't that great was because Thurman was just moving around and just outboxing Danny Garcia. So I don't think this is gonna happen in this fight
All
because
right.
both fighters are. Yeah, I'm ranting on here. Like you know what I mean. They're both kind of flat-footed. Let's be honest.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, last evening I mentioned that it could potentially be a good fight because Sean Porter, he made a good fight against Thurman because of the clash of styles. Thurman likes to sit down and counter with power, and Sean Porter comes straight ahead. Danny Garcia likes it, like you said, when guys come at him. So it could potentially turn out like a Keith Thurman, like the Keith Thurman versus Porter fight. Maybe a little less explosive because Garcia isn't as fast as Thurman. But man, he can, like, if you're not careful, he can knock you out with it. And his power, let me tell you something. I know Brandon Rios was shot and everything, but the way Garcia wore him down, I mean, this guy's got heavy hands, even at welterweight.
Yep. Yeah.
And it
I mean,
serves.
both fighters have a good chin, by the way.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I was rewatching the Thurman versus Garcia fight. Thurman surprised Garcia in the early rounds with his power, and he caught him with a there was a point where Thurman threw a right hook to the body and then a left hook upstairs, flush on Garcia's chin, and Garcia just shook it off, man. I mean, this guy's chin, it's unbelievable, man. Has he ever been dropped in his career, by the way, Garcia?
Not sure.
I think his father even says that he's never even been dropped in the amateurs. In the chat room, guys, have you heard that? Has Garcia ever been dropped as a professional or as an amateur?
I remember Subjuda hurt with Danny Garcia.
Yeah, he did. And
he stunned him basically. I mean, the guy just like. I have to find the footage, but I remember Garcia just froze up, man. Like he really got shook by that punch. But no, I don't remember Danny Garcia going down. The Boxing Live says 3 times in the amateurs, not KO'd.
Yeah, that's what somebody said. Boxing Live in the chat room saying 3 times as an amateur. I don't, the amateurs, you got to be careful because some people say, well, he's never lost. I think I heard, remember that the old legend was that Andrew Ward had never lost as an amateur. Maybe I'm confusing him with Joe Calzaghe, but I remember both those guys, people said that they had never lost, or that it had been 17 years since they hadn't lost a fight as a professional or amateur. But then it turns out, I think Calzaghe had lost, or maybe it was Ward, had lost a fight as an amateur not that long before he turned professional. So you got to watch out with these legends. In the amateurs, it's kind of hard to verify, especially, if it goes pre-2000 and all that. Kind of hard to find records online of who was. When people say, Ringondown had, I don't know, 300 something plus wins, who's keeping track of that? All right, now moving on. So so essentially, just remind me, you're saying Garcia Porter, good fight or bad fight?
A good fight, a great fight.
Sensational. I'm with you on that one.
I mean, I'd like to see actually Spence Jr. That's the one I want. That's the fighter I want to see him fight top contenders more than Porter and Danny Garcia. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like what I'm trying to say is like I'd rather see Spence Jr. fight either Porter or Danny Garcia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the best
fight. What we're getting is them fighting each other. Instead, what we're getting is Porter fighting Garcia, and then we have on the side here Spence, who I don't know what he's gonna do in the meantime, right? I mean, he can fight somebody else, but it would have been nice to see him fight one of those two guys.
Absolutely. No, you got it. You got it.
Because Spence, it seems like the real deal, right? So let's keep moving. Like, let's keep that momentum going. Let's have him fight top names.
All right, now. Sorry.
No, that's it.
Okay, because I just wanted to get something real quick, man. I was talking about Spence and how he's one of my favorite fighters because he brings it. He comes to slug it out, stop guys, and he'll go anywhere. But somebody pointed out the fact that, and I'm gonna show you the picture right here. You look at his chest. Okay, there is a picture there. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. Does his chest look muscular, or because of the angle, does it look like he's got a pair of tits? Because that somebody pointed that out yesterday, and I didn't bring it up right away.
Where's Precise?
I don't know.
He's gonna tell us.
All right, you know what? Let's look for more pictures from Errol Spence. Let's go to Google
BDA stuff.
Images. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that, but I'm just pointing out that the guy's got.
Saying? I think that's what you're implying, BDA.
No. Now you got to be very careful with what you accuse me of, because I'm not accusing anybody of it. The only thing I'm accusing Errol Spence of having is a weird chest. All right. Hold on, I'm trying to look for a good picture here. No, actually, you know what? He doesn't look. His chest looks normal. Look, I'll put a picture here of a Wayne against. I think that was against the what's his name, Leon Bondu or whatever. He's a French guy. You see now, some people are gonna say, yeah, but this is because he's drained, BDA. He's training himself to make the weight. But still, you can see he's got a flat chest. So I don't see him having steroid tits like some people are claiming, or like you think I'm claiming. People in the chat room are saying, for example, Nicola Ferrari says, you think Pavel? Okay, no. Pavel says Errol's chest is full of that breast milk. Luke Peterson says Spence needs new eyes. I'll say it. I said it before and I'll say it again. The guy looks like he's perpetually high. I think he smoked some very strong hash, and he never came out of that high. Brandon White says Spence has always been that way, even back in the Olympics. Luke Peterson says he needs new nipples as well. Flat chest. Spence got them others. Says Boxing Killers TV. Alright, so there you have it. Some people say that he has something going on. Nicola Ferrer says BDA Spence has obvious gyno. You think he goes to a gynecologist? And he gives him like that.
Christ.
I mean, I'm just asking the questions that people want to hear, Bucho. I mean, come on, don't start giving me shit for that. And by the way, Bucho, something that I didn't know, again, from Boxing Scene, reading the news, Carlos Cuadras vows to overcome a battle with drugs and alcohol. Did you know he had some troubles with substance abuse there, Bucho?
No.
Look, he says he's been suspended by the WBC and has entered a rehabilitation program for drugs and alcohol abuse. Carlos Cuadras has entered a program in which he is accepting to once and for all eradicate his unfortunate addiction to recreational drugs and alcohol. Carlos Cuadras has always been very closely associated with the WBC, blah, blah, blah. He admitted fame and glory and money, which come from success, haunted him and slowly became weak to the temptations that peers and pressure from his pseudo-friends. I am convinced that I will win this battle. I have a wife.
Pseudo-friends?
Pseudo-friends, yeah.
What is that? Like your fucking fake friends?
Well, essentially, yeah, that's what happens when you end up, you know, when you start making money and people, you get a lot of hangers.
Pseudo-boxing fans.
Pseudo-boxing. Oh, that's another term, yeah. And he says, I'm convinced that I will win this battle. I have a wife and son to support, and I represent my country. I need to find the strength with the help of God to find a cure to this horrible nightmare. Blah, 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 blah. And so, yeah, so he's apparently substance abuse. Now, they don't mention what type of drugs. But listen, if it's weed, I don't see the big deal with weed. Now, if it's alcohol, then yeah, you know. But Bucho, that's what's always interested me. Like, you know, we joke around about how we're alcoholics and all that, but a real alcoholic is somebody that can't stop drinking, and most of the time, a lot of these guys end up to the point where they're drinking even in the morning.
Yeah,
and
some people drink to sober up.
But it's interesting because it's not surprising that certain boxers end up becoming alcoholics or problems with drugs, because these people are living at a high pace, high intensity. I mean, think about it. Boxing, it brings you this huge euphoric feeling of that you're competing with somebody, you hear the roar of the crowd, your endorphins are, and your adrenaline is pumping, you're beating up another guy, which I've maintained in the past, I think there's a biological result that comes, like some euphoria that comes from beating up another human being and besting him in combat. And once you start either losing that or it doesn't fulfill you the way you thought it was going to be, you know, that they end up going in, you know, interlapping with drugs. I think that's what happened with Carlos Cuadras, because I mean, you see Cuadras, he's always screaming, he's always the life of the party, he's always on the wire, and I think, you know, for a guy like that, when he's not fighting, he probably has to drink to feel that, you know, alive. I don't know. Am I going Dr. Phil? Am I going too much to Dr. Phil here?
No, it's like Robin Williams.
Actually, with Robin Williams, and I wanted to clarify something, because the other day we were talking about autoerotic asphyxiation. Somebody mentioned that that's what Robin Williams was doing. Now, you got to remember, the guy was depressed. And apparently, in the beginning, people thought he was depressed because his wife has divorced him. But then it turns out that I think he had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, I think. And then the money problems, the wife leaving him, and the Alzheimer's, everything was on top of everything. And I think that's when he decided to end it. But he'd admitted in the past that he'd battled depression. So, I mean,
yeah. But going back to those, I mean, people who are always smiling, and sometimes they're the ones that are most troubled.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like the guy that's always looking to fight somebody or that's always hostile. He's the one that's scared, really. And every time he fights, he's trying to show you that he isn't scared. You know, it's like the opposite. The
BDA Boxing is also an educational show.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm talking out of my ass. I don't know if we're right or wrong, but I mean, that's just the way I see it, you know. Robin Williams was depressed, says Matty Claire, because he lived in a giant egg. I don't get that reference, man. What the fuck? A giant egg?
Movie reference or what the fuck, man?
It must be a movie. Maybe Recognize can help us out. Recognize is on the line.
Don't get fooled when they tell you that the crime rate is down in New York. Every time I watch the local news, they're always talking about, well, there was a stabbing here, there was a stabbing there, there was a shooting there, but the crime is down.
That's right. Like I always say, don't believe what you hear. And that's what Recognize is here to tell us. That's right. Don't believe the hype. All right, Recognize, thank you for being on. Now, I don't want to start up, you know, something or get you into a fight with somebody, but we just had X come in here. He doesn't like you, he doesn't like Cameron, but for some reason he likes me and Bucho, and he had a message for you. I'm not gonna say what he said, but when is this fucking guy, and listen, I can't badmouth him too much because he likes me, but when are you and him gonna finally getting to, because I know Michael Stott, shout out to Michael, he wants to do a hangout. Is there a possibility that you and X could get together and fight over there or something? I mean,
yeah, I think there's a possibility. I think me and him could, you know, have a debate. I mean, I used to interview him before, you know, so I had no problems with him. I think that, you know, this whole him having his own channel is getting to his head. You know, that's what I personally think. I'm not, you know, he's hard to predict, but I personally don't have no problems with him. I heard what he had to say. I really don't care. I wish X all the best luck, right? I wish him all the luck in the world. I think he over-exaggerates. I heard the show he was on. I think he was being rude and nasty, and they were being rude and nasty right back to him. So that's my take on it, and I'll leave it at that. I don't want no problems with X.
Well, look, the guy fucking goes for it. Like I always say, if you're gonna dish it out, you don't complain when people dish it right back at you, right? And that's what the guy's doing. He's a nut job.
Right. He went over there. He was starting trouble. He was being disrespectful, so they were disrespectful right back. And to me, he got what he deserved. That's my personal opinion, you know. Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to our problem, you know, I think he's just delusional. That's all I'll say. He's a little bit delusional.
Well, I'd like to get into that more later on about how you met him and why he fucking hates you all of a sudden. But right. We're talking right now.
I think it has to do with my video. One more thing. I think it has to do with my video with Povetkin winning the lawsuit over Wilder. I think that's what it has to do with.
Yeah, that must have pissed him off, man. Because he's a big deal. He just told me he's a big Deontay Wilder fan. That's the only reason why he goes up against people, the Joshua fans, essentially.
Oh, he hates Joshua fans. I know that.
Oh, yeah. And
X brought up some good arguments, no, against the whole Povetkin Wilder thing. X kept saying Povetkin, and I think that was a pretty good argument, no?
I think you're being sarcastic.
I guess that's, you know, his videos are crazy about the conspiracy with Trump, and I don't know if it's a whole. Only he could come up with theories like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it at that. I don't want to. Like I said, X, if you're listening, I wish you luck.
He's probably gonna. I know what he's gonna be. His reply is going to be to you. He's gonna tell you to go fuck yourself because he's got no respect for anybody.
No, he doesn't.
He pretends to have respect for me and for Bucho, but I think he's just trying to play us. You know, he's trying to get on the show, trying to get us to promote him, And but
I
if
think that's exactly what it is. Exactly. Again, I don't want to start no problems, but I think that's what X is doing. I think he's trying to stay on your good graces, right? Say that I like you, and maybe get rid of everybody so it could be BDA, X, and Bucho. That's what I think.
Yeah, well,
So
before you know it, he's gonna try to take over the show.
yeah. Before you know it, if that happens, your channel will be shut down.
Well, we don't want that. We don't want that. Now, we were talking about Quadras versus, I mean, Quadras versus his addictions. That's the biggest fight he's got going right now. Bucho and I were surprised. We didn't even know the guy was addicted to alcohol, and they're not mentioning what type of drugs, but they're saying alcohol and other drugs. Recognize, are you surprised that he's battling addiction, or does it fit his profile?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised that he drinks. Excuse me, that he drinks or he uses other kind of drugs. These guys are no. It doesn't really surprise me. These guys are outside the ring. They're normal people. Fighting is a very emotional sport when you're actually fighting people. They could be. I'm not making excuses for him, right? But I'm just saying maybe that's how he gets through his day. Just having a few drinks. When he starts getting some flashbacks of some fights, whether he's, I'm saying, it could be a combination of those things. Him drinking, him using other type of drugs. Nah, that doesn't surprise me. Maybe that's why he didn't want to get. I'm guessing this has to do with him refusing to take the test for the clean boxing program for the WBC. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he has a lot of shit in his system, or he could be taking. It could be a combination of things. He could be taking PEDs that are, obviously illegal, and he could be sniffing coke, drinking, smoking weed. A combination of everything.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It doesn't surprise me when it comes to fighters, or any athletes taking drugs. I think people sometimes fans, they're like, wait a second, but why would they take drugs that make you feel down and they gotta perform? These guys are used to it. It's like the way a man who could smoke marijuana every day, sniff cocaine every day, drink every day, but go to work. You know what I'm saying? Go to work and do his job. And Quadra's probably been boxing for forever.
No, it is not.
Yeah, go ahead.
But no, I was going to say that, maybe he's been boxing for so long that, having a few drinks doesn't, or drinks till he gets, shit-faced, that it doesn't affect him when it comes to time to fight,
Yeah, some people, but I mean, isn't that what they always say about alcoholism, that you can be a functional alcoholic, but you can't do it for too long before it catches up with you?
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I can't, I can't picture myself, at least when it comes to me, right? I like to work out every day. I work out. I don't work out every day, but, I work out like 5 days out of the week. Partying and have that moment. I was able to somewhat when I was young, a lot of things, but I can't picture again, just because I can't do it, that doesn't mean other people. It's an attitude thing. Maybe that's for him. He's probably going to crash soon enough, right? I mean, when he starts getting older, he'll crash. He'll pay for his mistakes, but yeah. I mean, am I surprised that he's a alcoholic and can still fight? Nah, not at all. I know a lot of alcoholics that could, that could work out every single day and do what they got to do, perform their work lives, their everyday duties, and it's not a problem.
That's an interesting point. Now, you cut off a little bit there when you were talking about that you enjoy working out, or that you try to get a workout every day. But essentially, the gist of what you're saying is that, yeah, if you work, even if you work out, but you're not living a healthy lifestyle outside of the gym, you're not going to be at your optimum shape.
Correct. Right. That's the truth. For me, a little different, right? Because as you get older, your energy level change. It slows down. So for me, I have to live a pretty clean life in order to, work out. Now, I'm not saying I don't do anything. I'm not going to say that, but pretty much I can't get wasted and then the next day, work out, go to work. No, I can't do that, But when I was younger, I remember occurrences like that. There was several times where I would get, drunk the night before, wake up, go to work, come out of work, do a workout, until eventually, you can't do it anymore. You start to crash, and you gotta change one of those habits. And maybe that's what's happening to Quadras. He's probably been doing that for a long time. Maybe it's catching up to him now.
Well, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because boxing and addiction, there are two ends of the same spectrum. For example, Ricky Hatton, the way he fought, just coming at you nonstop, wanting to slug it out, and then we saw that he would balloon up in weight during fights, and then finally, when he finally lost and retired, he again ballooned up, started dabbling in drugs. So it's almost like that. If they're gonna do something, it always has to be to the extreme. There's no in between.
Right. A lot of these athletes, right, whether they live a clean life or not, and it makes sense. I'm sure this will make sense. They're extremists at what they do. When it comes to exercising, I consider myself a professional. I've been doing it long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Some people that don't do it like I do, they might be like, man, that guy is extreme when it comes to his working out. He's very extreme about that. To me, I see it as normal, right? So let's take these high-level athletes. They do everything to the extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Then the unfortunate thing is when they start getting fame, right, and they start getting money, most importantly money, and access to things a lot easier, like women, drugs, a lot of new friends, a lot of interesting friends. What do? They bring that same attitude. They do everything to the extreme.
Right.
Instead of having 2 girlfriends, they got 5 girlfriends. Instead of having a couple of beers, like 3 or 4, they have 8. I'm just using those numbers as an example. They do everything to the extreme because they feel untouchable. That's basically what it is. And for the most part, they train so hard that, in a way, I can understand where the delusion comes in. They're like the best athletes in the world, right? Quadras is one of the best boxers in the world in his weight class. He's like the 1%, regardless if he's not the best at his weight class. He's one of the 1%ers in his business. So again, all these guys being drug addicts. I knew Hector Camacho Sr. I knew him personally.
Really?
I know his son. I know his whole family. I knew them whole, and I'm telling you, I don't want to talk bad about him. The guy's dead now, but he partied. I'll just leave it at that. He partied, and that was throughout his whole boxing career. And you could see sometimes where it had its effect, but for the most part, he always won fights. He never got knocked out. It didn't affect him in that much in the ring. I think that there was certain instances where it did, but not that bad. I think he did everything to the extreme. Camacho Sr. That is, Camacho Sr. did everything to the extreme. He started off as a street fighter. This was a man that very short in height, like 5'5", 5'6", could whip men's ass 6 feet. It didn't matter, and he was doing that as a teenager. So these guys are different breeds, man. They do everything to the not all of them. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them do everything to the extreme.
Yeah, it's interesting that the correlation between Camacho and Quadras, because they were both very lively guys, full of energy, both inside and outside the ring. But then they started slowing down. Like, for example, after Camacho took on Edwin Rosario, for a lot of people, that's the fight where after that one, he sort of, I don't know if because he started fighting bigger guys or whatever, but he fought more defensively than he had before. And Quadras himself, after the Gonzalez fight, he never really showed that form again. I mean, he struggled against Carmona. He struggled against, he lost to Estrada. Then he lost his last fight against Arroyo. So it could. Do you think it's a little bit the same thing with Camacho? Maybe it was the hard living that finally caught up with him.
I think, yeah, I think so. I think that, I think that some of that stuff caught up with him. And the Rosario fight was, to me, the like, if you look at from opponents after that, what you could is where you could see where Camacho started to, for lack of a better word, just fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, he started to spiral down. Before he was after the, when he was going after the money, the fame. You go look at Camacho's fights before that. I mean, he was super fast. He knew how to box. He had power too. That was the thing. I think a lot of that came from speed. He had some power. But once those guys, especially like guys with that type of attitude, that temperament, that they're very flashy people. I mean, like, say Camacho was like the first Floyd Mayweather, Adrian Broner. Floyd Mayweather a little different. He's more dedicated to his, looking good, living good. I'm not saying he doesn't do any drugs, because I don't know that, but he's more dedicated about his appearance. And being in top form in the ring. But there's a comparison that could be made between him and Adrian Broner. I think he was a better fighter than Adrian Broner in terms of legacy, right? But you can see from that fight on, he started to decline. That was the decline, because he started making some money. He started fighting on HBO. He was hooked up with Don King. I'm sure Don King took a lot of his money, but Camacho he was making a good living, where his spending habits and his and the outside life started to affect his it started to affect his performance in the ring. But if you look, he never got knocked out. The only person that really wiped the floor with him was Chavez Senior. That's it. He was afraid of Chavez Senior. That's the way I saw that fight. He was afraid of him.
Yeah, because he couldn't really intimidate him outside of the ring. He couldn't get to him outside of the ring.
No. Chavez Senior was just a different mindset compared to Chavez Senior. He was dedicated to his work. He was dedicated to what he did. Again, not saying Chavez Senior didn't fuck around, because I wouldn't know that, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I'm sure he had a lot of women. I'm sure Chavez Senior had a lot of women. But you can see that he was dedicated to his work in the ring. You can see that the performances were almost the same, all consistent. You got the same Chavez Senior in almost about every fight. Where Camacho, not so much. Sometimes he comes in like a beast. Next days he's coasting the fight. He's doing more running than fighting. And I think you could attribute that to his outside lifestyle, the drugs, the women, and the crazy fights he used to get into. Because that man was fighting in the streets. I don't know if it was on the news, but he used to get into fights in the streets, man, all the time.
That's insane, man. I mean, that's a good way to break your hand and ruin your career, getting into fucking street fights.
Yeah.
And that's without mentioning getting stabbed as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, it's bad to talk about somebody that I feel a little weird talking about him, like, after the man was murdered, right? But he lived a dangerous lifestyle, man. And that wasn't no publicity stunt. That's who he was. That's the kind of life he chose, Well,
look at Arturo Gatti, Diego Corrales. These guys that live a high octane life, and they end up getting murdered or in accidents. And I mean, Paul Williams is another guy. He's not dead, but he's in a wheelchair now because of a motorcycle accident. So yeah, high octane life, man. It doesn't end in the ring. They keep going.
Yeah, because that's how they're built, man. They're built to they. I think they at certain points they start thinking to themselves that they're invisible. They're immortals. That they can't. They're not your average human being. And for the most part, their dedication to whatever it is that they do Um, you can understand where if you're not guided the right way, you can actually think that you're untouchable when you think like them. You know.
Hmm. By the way, people in the chat room are saying that it sounds like you're taking the longest piss in the world.
No. What I was gonna take a shower, and what happened was I left the shower on. I got to turn it off. That's what it is.
I mean, you
I
you
was gonna take I was gonna take a shower, but I'm not gonna do that while I'm talking to you guys.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Please, I don't wanna hear you naked in the fucking shower, man.
You don't want me to do the Hamed noise?
Yeah, no, please, no more of that. Only one time that's allowed on the show. And now it's interesting. You mentioned we talked about Pernell Whitaker and Hector Camacho. Did you ever hear about that? Supposedly they had a famous sparring session back when they were in their primes. Did you ever hear that?
Yeah, I mean, I heard about it. I heard that they supposedly sparred and that Pernell Whitaker got the best of him. I can remember some back and forth between them. The rumor was that Pernell Whitaker schooled him, right? Again, I don't know how true that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you were there. But, there was talks about them actually fighting, but it never happened. It seems to me like maybe Camacho wanted a certain amount of money because this is a guy that doesn't turn down money. Remember, he had an expensive lifestyle. This guy was all over the place. So I find it hard to believe that he would have turned down the fight because the money was always a thing for him. However, it could have been a thing where maybe he wanted extra money for the fight. He wanted some more money because Pernell wasn't gonna knock out Camacho. That wasn't gonna happen. No way. Okay, he wasn't gonna knock out Camacho. Camacho never been knocked out, so that wasn't. So it's not a dangerous situation where he feared getting battered in the ring. So the only conclusion I could come to with that was that maybe the money wasn't good enough for Camacho. He was trying to get more money, and he wasn't worth that at the time. But yeah, when it comes to the rumor about them sparring in the ring, I heard it too, and the rumor was that he got schooled by Pernell Whitaker, which wouldn't surprise me, right? I mean, Pernell Whitaker was a great fighter. He was a great boxer.
Yeah, one of the all-time greats. And if indeed he schooled Camacho in a sparring session, and I know it's just sparring, but come on, these guys. I mean, you got to keep it in mind. Camacho, back when they supposedly sparred, I think it was what, late 80s? I think it was the late 80s.
I think it was late 80s or early 90s.
Right.
They sparred. I think it was either 1988 from 1988 to maybe 91, because I think I heard it around that time that they had sparred and supposedly he got schooled.
Well, it's interesting because Camacho back in those days, he was pretty much schooling people. He was looking fast as lightning. He still had power. And the fact that if indeed Sweet Pea was able to outbox him or dominate him in sparring, I mean, that just speaks volumes about what a great fighter Pernell Whitaker is, one of the best of all time. And it would make sense because Camacho, for as good a fighter as he was, he never quite could beat the best. I mean, listen, yes, I understand that Loy and Trinidad were bigger than him. And that was probably during a period where Camacho wasn't taking the best care of himself. But still, it stands to reason that Pernell Whitaker, one of the best of all time, would probably beat him if they ever fought. But you never know, man. I'm telling you, that Camacho from those days, from late 80s, early 90s,
You know what? Going back to what you were saying about the Rosario fight, before the Rosario fight, the guy that was trying to, make a lot of money, I forgot that champion's name that he beat, that he dropped like a bunch of time. I forget his name. That Camacho versus a prime Pernell Whitaker is a 50-50 fight. Edge to Pernell Whitaker. In my opinion, I got to give the edge to Pernell Whitaker. After that, like you was talking about, after the Rosario fight, I think it's not a 50-50 fight. I think Pernell Whitaker was just, I believe he was a little bit younger. He was coming into his own, and he was just, at that point, pretty much a short bet he was going to win within that weight class. You know, that 135 to 140. I believe that's where Camacho was fighting as well. So, to me, I think that it's not out of the question that Pernell Whitaker schooled him in sparring.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think Camacho Jr. could have knocked out Roger Mayweather Jr.?
Camacho Jr. knockout Roger Mayweather Jr. Yes. I'm not saying that's exactly what would have happened, but I think he could have. He was extremely fast. He knew how to pick off fighters like that come forward. Roger Mayweather had a lot of power for that weight class, but he didn't have good defense. You know, he was more of an offensive fighter. So I can see the more likely scenario would have been that Camacho starts off fast the first 6 rounds, does enough to beat him on points. Roger makes a pushback towards the ending of the fight and makes it interesting. But, that's all speculation. I just think that, Camacho was the better fighter. Camacho was better than Roger.
Mm-hmm. Alan Dromirecki in the chat room says Greg Hagen beat Camacho in 1990. Didn't Mancini get shafted by Camacho too?
Mancini, did he get shafted in that fight?
I think I think even Camacho admitted it, or didn't he? I forget. I have to rewatch some of those old fights.
Did they fight? I'm wondering if I think they did fight. Yeah.
Let me check it out, man.
I'm not 100% sure they fought. I feel like they did. The guy that he just mentioned, what was his name?
Haugen.
Yeah, Haugen did beat Camacho.
So here we have it. 1989, Ray Mancini lost by split decision against Hector Camacho. And then, Haugen beat him. And then I think the second fight was controversial. That one, Hector Camacho won by split decision.
Yeah, Hector Camacho was getting a lot of gifts towards his, that part of his career. He was still a sell. He had a big mouth. He had that Showtime, attitude.
Mm-hmm.
He was flashy, had a pretty decent fan base. But he got some gifts. There was some decisions off the top of my head. I don't remember everyone, but there was a couple of fights that I thought he lost, and they gave him the fight. One of them being Rosario. I thought Rosario beat him.
I'm laughing because now that you're mentioning the robbers, didn't old ass Duran actually beat him in their first fight?
I think so, man.
Jeez.
Duran had him on the run, for a lot of the fights. He fought back. Yeah, I say Duran won the first fight. I got to rewatch that. I mean, it was a boring ass fight. Just their attitudes maybe made it interesting. Duran's attitude and Camacho's.
Mm-hmm.
But he was getting a lot of gift decisions. I have to rewatch that fight. I would not be surprised if Duran really won, and they just gave the fight to Camacho because he was obviously the younger guy. Now,
I hate to do this, but Coran Barres, shout out to Coran in the chat room, says Camacho was gay. Now look, I hate to speak.
I wouldn't be surprised, man.
Listen.
I don't think. Honestly, I don't think so. I have to be honest with you. This guy always. Again, this is just from what I remember of him. The interactions that I've heard from other people and what I've seen with my own eyes. He always had a lot of girlfriends. Always.
Maybe that was to cover up the gayness.
It could be
like Tom Cruise.
That's right.
Like Tom Cruise. Is he gay?
Well, allegedly. We have to say allegedly.
Allegedly. We have to say allegedly. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people like that. Like Jamie Foxx. I think he's a homo for sure.
Now, why would you say that?
Oh, you just look at him. The fruitcake. I was listening to a show. I was listening to a show one time, and there's people going on there talking about. He would say things that, personally, I don't think a straight man would say.
Well, don't hold
not
back.
Just him. There's a lot of guys like that. There's a lot of dudes that fall into that category.
All right, listen. I want to go back to that, but later on in the show because we still got some boxing to talk about. Bucho, you remember when that we actually saw the Duran Camacho rematch here in Canada?
Yep.
The fight was pay-per-view in the United States. It's one of the rare times where a fight was actually pay-per-view in the United States, but here they showed it for free. Usually it's the opposite. Usually if a fight is for free in the United... Was that?
I mean, it wasn't free. It was on cable.
Oh, yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't pay-per-view. And boy, they should have paid us to watch that fight. One of the most boring fights I've ever seen. Duran showed up old and fat, with a haircut, with long hair, so that every time he got hit with a jab, it looked like he was getting hit by a hook. And Camacho showed up, just, I think he wasn't in the greatest shape either, and he was just holding and stalling and running. What an awful fight. I think it's still up on YouTube, if you want to check that out.
One of the boringest fights I've ever seen, yep.
Oh, you saw it too? Yeah, it was actually... Ugh. Don't even want to bring it up. Let's see what people are saying in the chat room. Michael Stott says, "Is Kevin Hart gay?" Everybody's gay.
They're all gay. They're all fucking gay, man. Just say it.
They're all homos. They're all gay.
AJ and Wilder's time is up, says Oasis. Yeah, Oasis has something. He's obsessed with the Joshua and Wilder fight. But let me tell you something. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Oh, by the way, is George Michael dead? Did he die? Or
I heard he died, yeah.
When the fuck did that happen?
I'm not 100% sure, but I thought he died, man.
Yeah, it says 2016, 2 years ago.
Ah, you see?
Jeez Louise. Didn't he get caught in the 90s in a public bathroom soliciting people?
In the men's room?
I thought that's what I heard. Who would have thought that, huh? Gay people soliciting sex in bathrooms. I've never heard of that before. That's... All right, so people are going on and on about it. And by the way, we gotta clarify. There's nothing wrong with being gay unless you're not gay. Then there's something wrong with you.
I would say this. I have no problems with gay people. I just have problems with faggots.
Oh, now hold on a second. Are you trying to get us kicked off YouTube, man? Come on. What's the matter with you?
Sorry. I'm just trying to explain the difference. That's all.
So is it like when people say there's a difference between white people and white trash and so on and so forth?
Right. There's a difference between black people and
wait, hold on a second. Don't say the fucking word.
And there's a difference between Latinos and the S word.
Oh well, I can say because I'm Mexican. You can say it because you're Puerto Rican. So
yeah, that's true. Spick.
But I mean that's it. Here's my theory, man. I don't know. I could be wrong, but words. That's what they're telling us nowadays. We live in a postmodern world, like Precise Puncher likes to say, where they're trying to tell us and they're trying to teach kids in the universities that nothing has meaning. In other words, if a guy wants to pretend he's a woman, he can be a woman and so on and so forth. So that means words can actually be, you can take away the meaning from them. So why not take away the meaning? Unless what?
Unless you're part of the right victim class and you feel offended, then it has meaning. That's the problem that I have with that postmodernist today,
No, you're absolutely right, man. That's words do have power, and that's why certain people want to keep being offended by certain words, so that if somebody ever calls them that, or there's also this thing going on where people are actually starting hate crimes. But like for example, there was a what was it? The woman who, or some woman who wrote a Arab slur on her car or something. She said some Trump supporters had done it. And then it was actually herself that had done it. She actually admitted it later on to the police. So everybody loves to be a victim. But hey, listen, it's the world we live in. Now, what was I going to say?
It's cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. People are saying that Bucho and I are the same person. And I don't know who's starting this little theory, but I am sick and tired of it.
Just like people say that I'm X.
Exactly. Bucho, let's talk at the same time, all right? To prove to these unhinged conspiracy theories that we're actually not the same person, right? So start talking, I'll talk over you, all right? Don't leave me hanging like the last time. Bucho, start talking, man. Come on.
Hello.
Okay, that's not your fucking
like
voice.
A ventriloquist.
Yeah, okay. Keep talking.
No, let's keep the mystery.
Oh, sorry, you already proved it. We're not the same person. Haha. Fuck you, people.
That's the evidence. That's it.
Are you saying that I pressed the button?
I told everyone that we're clones. and you have the regressive genes.
I have to. Maybe that might explain why I'm feeble and weak. You got all the good genes.
Ah,
Exactly.
And by the way, did you hear the theory that supposedly Barack Obama was created in a test tube by the by higher society? I'm not kidding, man. That's a that's an actual theory out there. Now look, I love reading all sorts of theories, but that one's too fucking. That's too much for me, man.
let me tell you, when it comes to Obama and Trump, I've heard the weirdest conspiracy theories ever, man.
Like which ones? About Trump, by the way. About Trump.
Well, Trump, that the Putin has pictures of him, of girls, peeing on him, and all this, that he's working under Vladimir Putin, and that's, like, to me, that's strange. That anybody would even conjure something up like that. I'm not saying it's not impossible. Just if you don't got proof, shut up. And Obama, what was with it? What was it with Obama?
Cloning
that his wife is a man.
Well,
She
look,
looks like a tranny.
She does, man. I mean, I will say that she does. Okay, but again, you got to come with some proof.
Yeah.
I understand they're part of the big they're part of the big stage, so they can cover it up maybe. I just like how people say it as it's factual. No, she's a man, or Obama was born in some other country, some bullshit like that, which could all be possible. But man, when you say these things, you got to come with some concrete proof to show people that you're not talking out of your ass, basically.
Absolutely. I completely agree, man. You gotta. What do they always say? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. I was gonna say circumstances.
Right. I don't. You know what I like? I like when people say, "Look, it's my opinion that this person is not who they say they are." And then say, "Look, this is the reason why. This is the reason why I say that." But when what I don't like is the Alex Jones type. Yeah, I'm sure you guys are aware of Alex Jones, right?
Oh yeah.
When they say things as factual, like, no, there's no debating. And I'm like, okay, give me the evidence. And they give you some rumors is basically what they're giving you. And they're presenting that as evidence. That shit I don't like.
Yeah, that's frustrating. By the way, before we continue, we got Cameron on the line.
Fuck, mate, it's life, man. You only live once. Make the most of life. Enjoy it. Because everybody's got their weird fetishes, man. And mine just happens to be eating fucking ass.
Oh. So there you go. Cameron, are you there?
Yeah, man. The first thing I hear when I come on the line is I reckon I was talking about Donald Trump getting peed on. I thought it was a boxing show, man. But it's good to be on.
Well, first of all, I gotta clarify that thing. It was proved to be a hoax. Somebody on the internet started it, and the mainstream media ran with it, and they got duped because they wanted so hard to believe that Donald Trump likes to get
apparently,
peed on.
Well, we've confirmed that Donald Trump is actually John Gonzalez in disguise tonight.
No, wait. John Gonzalez likes getting crapped on, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think he said that.
He said that. I don't know. He just said that he let some girl squat over his chest and let it all go. I don't know whether he said it was crap or pee. I don't know.
Well, yeah, he kept it mysterious, right?
Yeah, man. Either way, yeah. I think that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, I mean, we'll keep it up.
Was that apology, man? Was that apology, man? Screaming
No,
like
that's not apology, man. All right.
I'm disgusted.
Okay. By the way, somebody said that did you start a podcast? I mean, did you do a podcast this week, Cameron?
Not so far this week. No, last one was the Vitmar Erosion one.
Oh, okay, yeah, because somebody in the chat room at the beginning of the show of this one said that X was on your show, but I know that X doesn't. He trolls the chat room. Was that?
Who said that?
I forget the guy's name, but somebody said that X was on your show. I guess he was referring to the chat room and not the actual show.
No, X. Listen, man, X hasn't been on my show one bit. He might be mistaken in it. He was on other shows, man, but he's not been on mine yet. I want him to. Don't get me wrong, but he hasn't.
That would be a classic. That's got to get done, man. You got to keep calling him out. That's what you got to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man. I need X on my show, man. I think it'll be good.
And by the way, now that we got some people here, I really do have to read this because, I mean, I don't know. Look, listen, you guys tell me what you think. We try to educate people about boxing here, and yes, the humor we do can be a little rough. You know, it might get offensive, it might be disgusting, but we're not doing it all the time, despite what's going on in the chat room now. Well, guess what? I was reading the emails that we get on the BDA Boxing email account, and there was a woman sent us an email saying that she doesn't want to let her son listen to the show anymore. Now, I'm not going to show you the email, but I copy pasted it on a Word document. All right. So it says, I'm just going to read it real quick. It says, "Dear Mr. BDA, Bucho and the whole BDA boxing gang, my name is Samantha Cordington, mother of a wonderful boy named Dominic. Lil Dominic is a lively, precocious boy who loves boxing. Every day after school, Lil Dominic plants his tushy in front of his computer and listens to your show. He laughs and laughs, and it warms my heart to see him enjoying something oh so much. The problem is that your show, which is supposed to be about boxing, is quite filthy and not something that I want my son listening to. As a single mother," oh, what a surprise. "As a single mother, it's hard enough to raise a boy properly without any outside influences corrupting his pure and angelic mind. Lil Dominic wants to be a professional boxer, and you and your cohorts, wait a minute, seem to know a lot about the sport. But I cannot allow my son to listen to such vile and boorish conversations. The jokes are insensitive and the language abhorrent. I would suggest you smarten up." What's that?
That's got to be a troll, man.
I hope so. It continues. "I would suggest you smarten up and rid yourself of this filthy veneer with which you have covered your show. May I suggest you that you speak with your local pastor and ask Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, for guidance. Do so, and you might increase your show's quality," she misspelled yours, "and avoid corrupting such innocent and impressionable minds like those of my little Dominic. Sincerely, Samantha Cordington." What's that?
Asking us to go to church. He's asking us to go to church and get forgiven for our sins or something, man.
That's a good point. And by the way, your local pastor. I'm not living in the countryside. I'm not Stu. You all right? There's churches every fucking corner where you go here in Quebec. So I don't know what she's talking about. Oh, and by the way, she's trying to act all trim and proper about the show being filthy. You know what her email is? I'm not going to give all of it out, but it starts with Concerned MILF. That's her username.
Oh,
Concerned MILF. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That explains why she's a single mother. I get it.
Oh, and by the way, there's a photograph that I found on her Facebook page, because you can find her Facebook page. Her son, Lil Dominic. Yeah, Lil Dominic. The guy's 19 years old.
I wonder how old is the MILF. I mean, the mother.
If he's 19, listen, Samantha, if you no disrespect, but if your son's 19 and still a virgin, that boy needs to get laid, man. Well,
she never mentioned anything about him being a virgin, but like, you know, your son's 19. If you're this overly dominating and dominating his life, he's gonna. Let me tell you something. You're gonna see his son one day in the newspaper, and they're gonna find a bunch of dead hookers in his basement. That's what's gonna happen.
In my opinion, man, let me tell you that, man. Let me tell you that. He might not be a virgin, but at 19 years old, he should be able to make his own decisions on what he listens to, especially when it comes to sexual preferences.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. If this kid is 19 years old with a single mother that describes herself as a MILF, I guarantee you he's getting laid.
Yeah, but he's getting laid. He's getting laid by his own mum, by the sound of it.
No. See, that's what. Maybe Samantha has a point. Maybe this show is a little too.
Maybe it's me, man. Maybe it's me, because this whole thing comes up, man. Because I was talking about arse eating one day. Maybe it's my own fault, man.
Maybe. No, it is you. Trust me.
I bet you Dominic likes that comment. He likes to hear that topic.
Yeah, man. Dominic can start hitting me up. I bet I'll get an email soon, man.
All right, let's see what people are saying in the chat room. It could be Hamed. Some people say Boxing Killers TV says Lil Dom. Bucho says evil woman, anti-free speech. John Gonzalez says your local church listens and masturbates to BDA live. Hey, who doesn't? Michael Stott says she wants BDA's D. Boxing style says LMO, concerned MILF. That's why she's concerned, says Swanky Tuna. Mighty Claire says she's probably only 30. Swanky Tuna says she had him at 11. Yeah, that makes no like how old is she? And 19. You know, Shepherd of Song says 19.
I'm gonna give you an age for her. I say she's 40.
40, like early
Guaranteed.
40s or
40 on the dot.
all right.
Are we talking about Samantha? Samantha,
What about the tit size?
32B, somewhere. Oh no, a little bigger than that. B plus.
Disgruntled.
She's a what's her name? Samantha?
Well, concerned MILF.
Okay, she's a brunette. I'm trying to describe the girl of my fantasy. That's what I'm trying to do.
I think you know.
Listen, man, I'll do that. I would do that, man. But I'm actually got to go on a scene right now, and yeah, I get off the phone to her just before I come on here, man. So she listens to this fucking show. So if I sit here and say my dream girl, and it's not her, I'll get in trouble, man. So
I'll tell you right now,
man.
BDA. If I'd have got that email about 5 years ago, I would have said, "Where do you want to meet?"
Is that right?
If it was 5 years ago, I would have been 17, man. I would have sent her a picture of my cock into the floor.
Yeah, and they should go to jail for having a 17-year-old cock on her computer. All right, by the way,
that bitch in trouble.
Yeah, maybe I should get her in trouble. By the way, people were clamoring for Gaia to chime in, and well, guess what? Gaia has done a lot of research on psychology, and so. But I'm actually very concerned because I'm thinking, all right, has this show gone off the rails quite a bit? I mean, Gaia, what do you think? Do you think this show is a bad influence?
No, it is not.
All right, there you go. Oh, okay. By the way, there's a truck in the bank. Yeah, all right. Thanks.
Recognize sounds like it's getting launched in a rocket into space or something.
All right, so Gaia, you say that this isn't a bad influence, right?
Concerned MILF needs to lighten up.
I agree. She needs to lighten up. Listen, people are too wound up nowadays. They're always looking to blame somebody else for their problems.
I think we should visit her and have a face-to-face conversation with her.
You know what? That actually, yeah, have a face-to-face conversation.
That's right. Make her see that we are not the monsters that she thinks we are.
That's right. We're not the monsters we think she
and then we burn her house down.
Whoa, what? Hold on a second. Now, wait a minute. We're not...
Guy needs to speak for himself, man, because I'm not going to deny
yeah, but
we not be a monster.
All right, but Gaia, we can't go around fucking burning people's houses down. I'm not an animal. I have empathy, and we have rules and laws, and I can't do that.
You're a pussy.
Yeah, well, you know what? You're a fucking machine. What do you think about that?
You're a monkey.
Oh, I'm a monkey. Whoa. I'm a monkey, is that right?
Go do some monkey stuff while I increase my processing power, you walking bag of bones.
You know what? I might be a walking bag of bones, but guess what? This monkey can get his cock sucked, something you will never be able to do.
Shut up.
That's right. You shut up, you fucking stupid piece of trash. All right, listen, you know what?
BDA, I've got something to say to Guy, man. Tell Guy to go fuck himself.
Okay, well,
tell Guy to lighten up a little bit.
Yeah, tell Guy to lighten up.
My juicy tits hurt.
All right, nobody cares about your fucking juicy tits, Guy. You don't have any tits. How many times I gotta say it to you?
Is that Guy or is Conservative drawing the line?
No, that's Gaia 500, which is supposed to be when we designed Gaia 500 or supercomputer, it was supposed to be something that was going to help us out. Instead, it's just fucking going saying stupid shit and controversial shit.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Suck my clit.
He's not a postmodernist, right?
No.
He's learned from us, man. He's learned from the best, man. He's been influenced by us,
It's cool by me.
All right, Gaia, what do you have?
Transvestite?
Gaia, you got something to say to Cameron, who's going at you pretty hard?
Fatty should stick a gun in his mouth and end it already.
Oh, who's he calling you fat and telling you to go kill yourself?
Guy, man, look. Guy, I swear to God, Guy's a transvestite, man. I'm pretty sure of that.
Okay, listen, I put Gaia on mute. I don't want to hear what it has to say anymore. We don't want to hear what you have to say.
Guy's going to be my recognise. I recognise, you know, he had somebody feeling like he was watching him over in his sleep, man. I reckon Guy's going to be watching me in my sleep, so I wake up in the night.
Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Allow me some time to recompose myself.
Alright, enough of Gaia 500. I'm tired of it. It's being sarcastic now. It's being sarcastic.
What boxing topics are there, man? Because obviously I've missed the first, however long you've been on for.
We were talking about Carlos Cuadras. Apparently he's in rehab now for drug abuse and substance abuse, essentially.
Yeah, depression, innit?
Depression, yeah. I mean, well, that comes hand in parcel with substance abuse. We also talked about Keith Thurman, supposedly. He says he wants to come back in the summer. Is that a surprise to you, Cameron, or does that mean the injury that he had wasn't as hard?
Man. Keith Thurman, man, he's obviously vacated his WBC title now, hasn't he? You know, that came out last night. Garcia Porter's going to fight for the vacant title. I mean, I think that's the right choice. I feel like, Thurman's been out for over a year now. He's be back until the summer, like he said. It's disappointing because I feel like Thurman's prime's being wasted. We're talking about he fought Garcia a year ago, March. He should have had one or two more fights after that. He could have been talking about, if he wasn't injured, we'd be talking about potential Keith Thurman Errol Spence fight in the summer. Mm-hmm. But instead, we're maybe a year and a half off from that fight. It might not even happen now. Because there's been rumours of Thurman potentially looking to get out of Heyman and PBC and go to Top Rank. If that's the case, you won't be seeing that fight at all. And I think Thurman, did he want to fight? Did he really want to fight Porter Garcia? He beaten both. Now he doesn't have to fight him in terms of mandated to fight him. So he's got out of jail with that one. I just feel like, I don't know, man. I just feel like there's something going on with Keith. I just don't feel like he's going to be sticking around with PBC much longer. I think, judging by what's been going on, he might be running his contract out. I mean, if he wants to go to that Aram, there's fights over there for him. You've got Crawford, Pacquiao maybe, Matisse. Big money fights with less risk than potential Errol Spence and does he really want to fight Porter again? It was a tough fight. He's got everything to lose in that. So for me, I'm not too surprised that Thurman's been out this long. I think something's going on there. I think we might be seeing him jump to ESPN at some point.
Yeah, all right. I think. What do you, BDA? What do you guys think of the potentials of Danny Garcia versus Sean Porter?
Well, we were talking about that earlier, and I'm more actually interested in your opinion. But I'll just restate it real briefly. Mine, Butcher and I, we think that it might be a good fight because Porter tends to make for boring fights because there's a lot of clinching and a lot of mauling. But when he fights guys like, for example, Thurman, who stands his ground and tries to counterpunch, it makes for an interesting fight. And Garcia is essentially a lot like Thurman. He wants to stand his ground and counter with power shots. So we think it might be a good decision, but we're not quite sure who wins that one.
Yeah, I think it might come down to styles, man. That's a good fight. I would love to see it because of what you just said. Garcia is a counter puncher. He likes that. Those guys that come forward. When it comes to coming forward, Porter's probably the best at that. So it's going to be. I would give Porter the edge to win. I hope the fight happens. I hope there's no bullshit. Make them fight, and the winner, whoever wins, and if Keith Thurman comes back, whatever his thing is, fight the winner. He didn't beat those guys convincingly. He didn't beat. I want to say Porter. Most people thought Porter won, including myself. I might shock people with this, but I thought Danny Garcia edged it out.
Whoa.
Versus Thurman, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. It was a close fight. I will say that I wouldn't say oh, there's no way Thurman won the fight. I'm not going to say that, but I thought that the running in the end that Thurman did, for me at least, I thought it cost him the fight. But yeah, it would be a good fight, man. Garcia versus Porter, that's a good fight because of the styles.
Cameron, what do you think?
I agree with what Recognize said. I mean, I had Thurman winning both them fights, but like Recognize said, they were close fights. When a close friend of mine had Porter winning that fight, I thought I can see it. I personally had Thurman winning that fight, and I hadn't beaten Garcia, but like Recognize said, they were close fights. That's what I want to see the rematches based on that. What I want to see is, Porter and Garcia have Garcia fought Rios, but, Porter's been active. He fought Granados. He's kind of been active still, Porter. So, for me, you've got to really take in consideration that all this time Keith Thurman's been out, he's not really been able to work on anything. Obviously, he had the elbow injury. Now he's injured again. I think it was a hand injury. So, he's not been able to get in the gym and work on anything. He's not been able to tough sparring. he's not been able to keep active. So in that time off, you have to say he hasn't improved. If anything, he's either stagnated or potentially declined because of his body breaking down. Whereas in that time, Porter and Garcia have been in the ring. They have worked on things and they have improved. So if you take into consideration how close the first fights were, would you give Garcia or Porter the edge in a rematch? You have to kind of take all that into consideration. They might well do.
That's an interesting thing because supposedly this fight is for the WBC belt, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that gives whoever, I mean, people still care, fighters especially, they care about the belt. So with that belt in hand, does the winner of this fight become the logical opponent for Spence, or do they try to squeeze Thurman back in against Spence after he gets a couple of tune-ups?
No. I think. Go on, recognize, bro. I'll let you go.
No, I was just gonna say it depends on what Cameron was talking about earlier. There's talks of Keith Thurman actually leaving Al Heyman. If he goes the Bob Arum route, then more than likely that fight won't happen. Where he comes back, takes a tune-up, and fights the winner. The more logical fight for me would be whoever wins that fight to fight Errol Spence. I mean, enough. Listen, I know Errol Spence he's a bad motherfucker, and I'll probably pick him whoever wins that fight. But these guys got to, this should be easy to make. I don't know what Al Heyman's plan is. This should be easy to make. Mm-hmm. Have one, that one welterweight that's the king of the welterweight division by earning it, right? In your stable, right? In the fighters that you have. He has three welterweights. Currently, he has 4 welterweights that are at the top of the list. So it's about time. We need one. Sean Porter has been the guy that's been going there in the rings, fighting the bigger names. Errol Spence, I guess you could throw Kell Brook in there, but get Errol Spence to fight either one of these guys. They got to get in there and fight him, man. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand. It's not like he's not unbeatable. He can be. I would pick him to beat Thurman, to beat Porter. I think Porter's a bad styles matchup for him, although I would still favor Spence to beat him. And I would pick him to beat Danny Garcia as well. But you got to make these fights. I don't, it's just so, it's garbage to me how they prolong these guys from getting in the ring. You either put them in there or tell one of them to move up and weigh, make fucking Errol Spence move up and weight if none of these guys want to fight him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I honestly, if you said to me, do you think we'll see Keith Thurman versus Errol Spence, and you ask me right now and I'll give you an answer, I'd say no. I really don't think we're going to see this fight. Just, I just feel like, Spence is a big welterweight. And Keith Thurman's, he's been out the ring, and there's no real sort of. If you take into what he said at the start of the year, he said he wants 2 tune-up fights. Then he wants, he wants 2 fights. He wants a tune-up fight back, and he wants to fight Garcia Porter. Then he will fight Spence in the 3rd fight. If that's still the case, and he wants 2 fights before that Spence fight, and he's come back in the summer, assuming Thurman will still only have 1 fight this year, like usual, then we're looking at a potential Spence fight in the summer of next year. Mm-hmm. And, is there any guarantees that Spence will be at welterweight by then? We're talking about a young guy who's a big guy. You see him at the weigh-ins. He's got no body fat whatsoever. He's ripped, and he struggles to make that weight. He's a big guy. Naturally, people say he's a middleweight. So, he's only going to get bigger as well. He's not even in his prime yet. So, is there a chance we might not see this fight? I mean, at 147, I don't think there's a chance we won't see it. At 154, we might. But for some reason, I honestly don't think we'll see this fight. I won't prove him wrong, but I haven't got hopes about it.
Now, you mentioned earlier that maybe Keith Thurman, and this was a theory that we had posited a couple of episodes ago, that Keith Thurman might be pretending to be injured or whatever because he wants to get out of that PBC contract, or he wants to let it run out. Akuma's Deception came out a couple of weeks ago and dropped that bombshell of a theory on the chat room, but he didn't confirm whether it was a rumor or whatever. So what have you guys heard that maybe Keith Thurman is dissatisfied with the way his career has been going or the money he's been receiving?
I miss the old Keith Thurman.
Go ahead, Cam.
Sorry, man, I was just going to say, I miss the old Keith Thurman. You know, the Keith Thurman who showed hunger. You know, you see around in the boxing scene a lot. You know, it seems like since he's been fighting, winning titles, since he beat maybe Porter, we've not really seen much of him. I'm not, you know, obviously in the ring we haven't seen much of him, but in terms of generally we haven't seen him. You know, before we used to see him in interviews with, you know, he used to be, you know, you used to see how, you know, he had that hunger about him. You know, he looked like a guy who wanted it. You know, that really wanted it. Whereas now, you just don't see that in Thurman. You know, it doesn't seem like he wants it. You know, or he doesn't want it as much as he used to. I mean, you know, of course, you know, he's now champion. He doesn't need to go and call people out. But I just don't feel like Keith Thurman wants it or wants to be in the sport as much as he used to. No, that's my feeling about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It seems like what Cameron is saying. I'm just going to piggyback off that a little bit, but it just seems like he lost his hunger, and maybe he feels he's being, you know, either 1A or 2A to Spence, right? Where he doesn't want to be in that situation. He wants to go somewhere where he's going to be more likely the A side, or if he's going to be the B side, it's going to be for a lot of money. You know, I can, like a fight with Pacquiao, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to assume that a fight with Pacquiao is still more than likely for welterweights is the biggest payday, right? Especially if you're named Keith Thurman or Errol Spence or whoever. So I don't think he sees it as worth it. On top of that, you add the injuries, and you know he looks at Errol Spence and says that dude is legit, you know, and this is a fight that I could potentially lose. I don't want to lose it for low end money, and I don't feel like, you know, I don't feel like being the B side of that situation. Mm-hmm. Or if we both the A side, that I'm like the bottom half of that A side.
So you think? So there's some ego.
I think that's a problem. I feel like Keith Thurman doesn't. So I think Keith Thurman's kind of seen himself as being, despite being unified champion and beating Garcia and Porter, he's still being kind of played as second best to Spence with the PBC and Heyman. Showtime. You know, there's more money being invested. You have to say there's more money being invested into Spence than there is Keith Thurman. You know, Errol Spence has got a lot more marketability about him. Okay, you know, he's not as good talking. You know, if I wanted to listen to an interview, I choose to listen to Keith Thurman over Errol Spence. But Errol Spence, in terms of, you know, the look, you know, the style, you know, he's got a following. Yeah, Errol Spence is a guy that, you know, the American public get behind. You know, they're talking about Spence versus Crawford as the next big fight. They're not talking about Keith Thurman versus Terence Crawford. You know, Keith Thurman obviously sees these things. You know, like Recognize said, maybe if he is looking to get out of PBC and go to top rank, he'll be seen as the A side because, you know, he's a young guy. You know, and you look at the guys that Aram's got, you know, they're all getting on. I mean, he's lost Marquez, he lost Bradley in terms of welterweight. I mean, now he's only got Crawford and Pacquiao. So for me, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if Aram kind of puts a big offer out and Thurman jumps ship. It really wouldn't.
Yeah, people are saying that.
You know, that's the thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, BDA. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, you know, maybe Keith Thurman, because my mind changes about this, and to me that's a good thing in terms of who I think is going to win. Right, that means that they're pretty close. My mind changes all the time when I think about Spence versus Thurman, Porter, Danny Garcia, Terence Crawford. As of right now, my stance is I would pick Spence over all of them.
Ooh.
Right? If you would have asked me 2 months ago, I would have said I think Terence Crawford beats Errol Spence. Mm-hmm. Right? Which tells me, you know, at least when it comes to, in my opinion, these are close fights. Maybe a guy like Keith Thurman is saying to himself, let me go to top rank, right? And this is just, you know, like we like to do, speculate to see if it makes sense. Let me go to top rank where there's bigger money, or there's a potential big money fight against maybe Manny Pacquiao, where I don't mind being the B side, but I get $5 to $7 million, right? I'm just throwing a ballpark figure. I don't know if that's correct, but obviously it'll be his biggest payday, right? Mm-hmm. And a potential fight with Terence Crawford, maybe to him, he's saying that's more of a winnable fight than Errol Spence.
Jeez. So you're saying Just summarize it real quick. What exactly are you saying here?
What I'm saying is maybe a guy like Keith Thurman is holding out, like Cameron is saying, with the injuries, because he wants his contract to run out with Al Heyman. He doesn't like the situation he's in, right? He's looking at the landscape. He's probably saying, man, that, you know, Errol Spence is a like Cameron was saying. He doesn't have much of that personality, but his boxing style is very eye catching, right? He knocks people out as of right now. So you can see where Al Heyman is like, you know, he's got a nice fan base. I'm leaning towards him as my future. Where Keith Thurman is like, well, you're not gonna use me. You understand? You're not gonna use me to make him that future. And Keith Thurman is probably saying this is a guy that I could definitely potentially lose to on top of that, you know.
Well, you look at the situation. I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. You look at the two guys. Yeah, Thurman, when he was coming through the ranks, was knocking guys out for fun. Yeah, we're talking about knocking them out, man. He was putting them on their asses with hooks and everything. When he kind of reached up to the elite level, when around the time he fought, well, not even when he fought the elite, when he fought Bundu and Guerrero and things like that, he was taken to decisions. He didn't knock Porter Garcia out. Whereas look at Errol Spence. You saw Keith Thurman when he was in those fights. He was more boxing on the back foot. And in a lot of those fights, he was getting booed out the arena. But look at Errol Spence. We're talking about a guy who went to England, the elite welterweight against Carl Burke, and not he made him quit. So we're talking about a guy he knocked out Lamont Peterson. And Lamont Peterson never got stopped before. So in Errol Spence, he's a very, he's got his style's attractive. He knocks guys out at a top level, and he's got a lot of potential about him to go up in the weights and do it as well. Because you have to feel like when Spence moves up in the weights, he's going to be more stronger, more powerful, and he's going to have more about him. So that's why Spence is regarded by the PBC and Al Heyman as the golden goose, because he's just got it all.
I think you guys are right, man, because it's just bizarre that Thurman all of a sudden ends up getting all these injuries, but then now he says he's going to come back in the summer. I mean, listen, I guess we keep our eye on it. I don't think Keith Thurman, I never got the feeling that he's a punk or anything, that he's scared of anybody in division. In fact, he's fought the best right now at the moment. So to say that, I agree with you guys. There's something extremely fishy going on. By the way,
he's not scared, but the situation he's in, he's obviously not happy about it. If it makes money, it makes sense, and obviously it doesn't right now.
Yeah, going back to really quickly, BDA, I don't think these guys are scared. To be honest with you, look, when it comes to boxing, these guys are not scared. What they're afraid of is losing their spot. And having, I think boxing is more A-side, B-side negotiated these days. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes they're not really speaking for themselves. They're speaking for their management, right? They're speaking for when they say, oh, they're offering you this. No, let's throw this into the contract. If not, we're not making the fight. So these guys end up not really speaking for themselves in a lot of cases. They're speaking for their management and the people behind them. So there's a lot of that going on. And again, it's just all like speculating and thinking what might be going on. I think Keith Thurman is just a little bit uncomfortable. Do I see him losing motivation and not as good as before? Yeah, I definitely see that. But I don't think Keith Thurman is afraid to get in the ring with these guys. He's been doing it long enough. He's not afraid.
I agree. I completely agree, man. People love to throw out he's afraid. That guy's afraid. He's a pussy. It's financial. This whole thing is financial, and he's not comfortable with this. And it's like it's like a starlet that goes into a studio mogul's office, and he wants to fuck her. She's not comfortable. I think that's what Thurman feels right now. He feels like a hot piece of ass that's being used, and he doesn't want to get used. So we'll keep an eye on the whole situation and see what happens. By the way, we got Apology Man on the line. Apology, are you there?
Hello.
All right. Apology, thanks for being here. And by the way, we got to tell you, now that we're transitioning from subject, the big news right now on the chat room, people are telling us that Deontay Wilder's team just offered Anthony Joshua $50 million. That's right, you heard it correctly, $50 million to make a fight happen. This is according to Boxing Scene. I'm putting the the page up there. Team Wilder sends 50 million offer to Joshua for unification. An offer went out from Deontay and his entire team. The fight would take place at the end of the year. No rematch clause. Oof. And we're taking all of the risk. 50 million against 50%. If the fight does 40 million, he still gets 50 million. If it does 200, he gets 100. Okay, now
That's
it seems... Was that?
Yeah, that's not happening.
Now why not?
They're not taking that. They're not taking that offer.
Explain, please.
Where's the fight taking place?
I think they're saying
yeah, Anthony Josh is not going to the US.
He's not taking that offer.
Deontay Wilder, they're in no place to offer that, to just put this type of money out and offer this money out. It's not going to happen. I mean, if this fight's going to happen, it's going to be down to most of it. Anthony Joshua's going to be in controlling the negotiations, whether the people like it or not. There's no way in hell Anthony Joshua's just going to come out and accept an offer of 50 million from Wilder. We don't know what the sort of details are about that. Whether it's 50 million flat, 50 million just to Joshua, whether or not it's split. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, that's not going to happen, man. There's a lot to it. I just don't think that fight's going to happen this year, to be honest. So yeah.
Recognize why do you think the fight doesn't happen?
I think the fight doesn't happen this year. I don't think it happens this year. They're going to build this up. I was more on the side of this fight's happening this year, but as I see what's going on, as I see the build up, that's what I'm seeing. This fight's going to happen maybe late next year. Right, and I think what would happen is more than likely Deontay Wilder would be more of a box draw, okay? Where you'll see when this fight takes place, it's going to be 60-40. It's going to be 60-40 Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua this is the way I see it. He is what boxing would prefer. They would prefer him. So that whole A side, B side, I know people don't like to bring it up, but it does exist. Mm-hmm. It really does. So they're going to give every opportunity, every advantage. And as of right now, I think Anthony Joshua beats him. I think he's the better fighter of the two. I'm not saying by much, but I just think he's the better fighter. But they're going to give the A side the more comfortable situation, the more comfortable situation in order to win. Mm-hmm. To continue being this box draw, he's bringing in the money. That's what he's doing. As of right now, Deontay Wilder, who I think Wilder has the potentials of being a big cash cow. He's not that right now, and Anthony Joshua definitely is. Whether you like it or not, that's not what this is about. It's just calling it like it is. He is the A side. He makes $20 million a fight. He makes $20 million.
I'd like to know where his money's coming from, considering the fact that Wilder's biggest purse is something like $3 million. Where is his money coming from?
Where's his money coming from? He got sued. He lost. Not that it came out of his pocket, but the $4.5 million that he thought he was going to get is not his. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he's actually short $4.5 million. So where's this money coming from? Where?
Maybe it's coming from the reserves of the Waddle and Reed coffer that Al Haymon had stored away. Like a good little squirrel, he keeps all that money stacked away, and he was saving it for a rainy day. And I think that rainy day has come.
Why is he saving it for Wilder? Like, there's way better fighters in his stable.
What, like which fights?
No, way better fighters like Spence, Porter, Furman.
Oh, okay, yeah.
For Wilder?
Because
just put 50 million in the pot to make Spence Furman next, man. Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is more than likely is fake news.
Wait, so you think they're bluffing? Because apparently this is coming from Wilder's team themselves. Or itself, I should say.
There have to be. Where's the money?
Hold on. All right, apology, you go ahead. You just got here.
Yeah, they have to be faking, because where's the money coming from? Like, no way they have 50 million for just this fight. Isn't Heyman running out of money as well? I heard that in a news article somewhere.
Yeah, that's what they were saying a couple of months ago. But like I said, maybe he had it squirreled away. I don't know.
Then how much should this fight make? Like if you're gonna pay 50 million to Joshua, then how much are they gonna pay Wilder? Right, and then
Exactly.
Yeah,
how
exactly.
much is the whole thing gonna make in total? Because you need to make a fucking profit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. If I was Anthony
Nah,
Joshua, I'm Anthony Joshua, and I hear that there's $100 million pot split. No way I'm sharing 50-50 with Deontay Wilder. No way am I doing that. Right? Because as of right now, I don't care if Wilder does more views in the States than AJ does here, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to revenue, putting asses on this, in seats, that or TV worldwide, that belongs to Anthony Joshua, whether you like it or not. It's just the truth. And so, no way that Anthony Joshua, who seems to be a smart guy, and if he's not a smart guy, he surrounds himself with smart people. That's why he's making the kind of money he's making. There's no way nobody's gonna let him accept that. Everybody wants to get paid involved, and they're gonna say no. You're worth 70% of whatever pot. They'll start off there. You're worth 70%, and that's probably just being generous,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a guy who could fight Joseph Parker and make $15 million. Okay, he can fight Carlos Takam and make the same thing. The biggest fight Wilder has had so far is Luis Ortiz, and he got $2.5 million. I mean, come on, there's no comparison. There's
Yeah,
just no
that's
comparison in it, and I don't see Anthony Joshua accepting a 50-50 split. It's not gonna happen.
no that yeah. If it comes down to splitting the pot that way, I don't think it happens. I think this is bluff. It could be a bit of a bluff because right now the whole story. By the way, recognize there's some clipping coming from your mic. I don't know what's. Are you cooking something?
Sorry about that. I got my earphones on. How about now?
Yeah, no more clipping.
You
That's
hear the
good.
clicking?
No,
Okay.
no more.
Because I had it kind of like dangling down. That's why.
I think you're right about you guys are right about this being a bluff because if you think about it, the whole storyline right now is based around who's avoiding who, and you got fans, AJ fans against Deontay Wilder fans, and if they offer him 50 million, and while Joshua's side says, wait a minute, we stand to make way more, we're not gonna fight for that. Now the Wilder fans can say, oh, he's avoiding him, and that might sway public opinion towards Deontay Wilder. But I don't think public opinion really matters much when they're negotiating, or does it?
That's great. That's great opinion. I think it does.
I don't think it does that much.
For Wilder.
Okay. Public opinion in terms of his fans have a little something to go off, right? But I'm going to bring a recent example. These same fans of Wilder used to be Floyd Mayweather fans, at least on YouTube.
Really?
Most of them were. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Now, when Floyd was making outrageous demands in the beginning of the Pacquiao negotiations, okay, they were okay with it, even though in public opinion, the majority of public opinion was that Floyd was ducking. Right? Floyd was ducking the fight.
Right.
And it didn't change anything because at the end, Floyd ended up getting the money and actually more money than he ever wanted. Right? I think he got in total of like just the base salary, not the back end, 120 million guaranteed for that fight. Okay? So trust me, public opinion meant nothing at the end of that when it came time to collect the checks. Joshua is not stupid. Okay? He's not a stupid person. He's not gonna downgrade himself just to appease Wilder. First of all, I don't even think he likes Wilder personally. So why would he do that? You know?
Right.
If I don't like you, why would I make things comfortable for you? Okay? I'm not gonna make things comfortable for you. I'm gonna make it hard for you. I want to know where you're coming up with this $50 million. Okay, I want to know where you're coming up with that, And if the pot is 100 million, there's no way I'm accepting 50-50. It's just not. No way.
Wait, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Did Heyman say he has 50 million or just Wilder?
I don't know who said it. Look, listen, I'll put the article back up from Boxing.
But I mean, I would want a guarantee, and I would want the money up front, because I doubt they have fucking $50 million.
If Heyman didn't say it, then Wilder's full of shit.
It's DiBella that's saying it, apparently. DiBella, who's the official promoter.
As well. Finkel as well.
It has to come from Heyman. I don't trust him.
But Heyman doesn't really. He speaks through DiBella because Heyman isn't the promoter. He's a manager or advisor.
Oh, whatever. We know who is in control. But anyways, man.
But that's what I'm saying. He's not gonna. But that's what I'm saying. He's not gonna talk directly about this or publicly. He's gonna let DiBella talk about it.
It's like when it's from him and it's Lou DiBella plus Wilder's team. It just feels like what's it called? Like a fraud. It doesn't feel real.
Yeah, let's wait. People are jumping the gun. Apology has a point. People are jumping the gun and they're saying, oh, Wilder, no, not Wilder. Joshua accepted. I'm putting up the screen grab here. It says there's the video from Wilder that he put up. Let's play the video first. See what he's got to say.
Yo, I'm about to catch this plane in a few minutes, but Anthony, get up with your man Eddie and Barry Hearn and tell them to check their email. I got something special for you.
That's right.
And by the way, all the money's in the bag. So I expect you'll be a man of your word.
Oh, did you see that little cut there? They got some production value going on there.
Okay. I'll take 50 million up front.
Oh.
If that's the case, Wilder's team, bring me 50 million up front and we'll take the fight.
That's great promotion.
That's why they did it. Because what Joshua said, that's smart for Wilder's team.
Exactly, yeah. That's very smart from Wilder's team. He's got some good people working for him in... or I don't know who came up with the idea, but whoever came up with it, very good.
Let's see. Definitely not Wilder because he's uneducated.
Okay, come on now.
Listen.
That's
I know there's I know there's a lot of hate for Anthony Joshua. I get it. That kid is smart. He's not stupid. Okay, that's not a stupid man. Regardless if you don't like him, I don't care. This is not about whether you like him or not.
Mm-hmm.
He's not stupid. He's not going to negotiate himself down. That's not going to happen. You can forget about that. Things have to dramatically change. As of right now, he's not going to dramatically downgrade himself to make the fight. If it's 50 million and because there's $65 million in the pot and maybe Wilder's only going to get 15 million, then fine. Yeah, you're probably okay. If you got $65 million in the pot and 15 for you, 50 for me, and we can make some back end money. All right, cool. That's what we're working with. Maybe we can negotiate. Maybe we can sit down and get together and talk about this this split, right? But if it's, which I highly doubt it, if it's $100 million pot and it's 50 for Wilder, 50 for him, no way AJ's team or AJ is going to say, yeah, sure, 50 for you, 50 for me.
That makes no sense. Because
and I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. That's not the case here. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. That doesn't matter. Fuck my feelings or your feelings. It's all about these guys run a business. That's what they do. They run a business. And they're going to do whatever is best for their clients and their pockets at the same time.
I agree with that. I agree. So let's see what happens here. When this whole thing takes place. I mean, I don't know. People are jumping the gun. And for example, another thing that they're jumping the gun on is supposedly Anthony Joshua replied in Instagram and said, let's roll. I don't know much about Instagram. I'm an old fart. I don't use Instagram and all that. But is this, how does anybody prove that this is the actual Anthony Joshua and not some imposter?
Because they'll be verified. Their profiles will be verified.
Okay. But even if Joshua says, yeah, I'll take it, which
he said, let's roll. He didn't say, I'll take it.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But at this point, it's semantics because, in other words, what is he saying by let's roll? Is he saying let's go back to the negotiating table, or like what does it mean?
He's saying let's go back to negotiation.
Yeah, he's just saying let's get it going, man. Like Wilder's come out now and said something. But now Joshua's basically saying let's get it going.
All right, so
this is about big money, man. This is about big money. Guys like that don't negotiate themselves down. That's not what they do. You know, this is not a popularity contest. You know, this is if the roles were reversed as of right now, I like Anthony Joshua more than I like Deontay Wilder. Okay, not saying that means AJ's the better fighter. I just like his personality better. But if the roles were reversed, and I'm like, hey, listen, man, Wilder is a cash cow, I would say the same thing. You know, I would say the same thing. I was like, listen, Wilder's a cash cow. What is Anthony Joshua even thinking about? You know, even if the roles were reversed, and the only thing that stays the same is that I like Anthony Joshua more than I like Wilder. Okay, I would say the same thing, but that's not the case here. That is not the case. Everybody from the UK that I talk to, I got friends over here that live over here in New York that are from the UK. They like, yo, this guy he's a rock star, basically. You know, I can't say that about Wilder over here. I cannot.
That's the thing.
That, you know?
That's the thing. Like, some people say, well, Anthony Joshua is not an international star, but he's a star in England, in the UK.
That's right.
People know him. So
that's right.
Yeah, Wilder's not a star anywhere.
Exactly.
Right. Maybe in Alabama, maybe in New York, he's starting to get a bit of a buzz.
Maybe in Alabama.
Yeah, maybe in Alabama. Yeah, Alabama, man. I mean, that's huge, man. Huge.
I'll tell you right now, maybe in New York, he's starting to get a bit of a buzz. A little bit.
Let's be honest, man.
Maybe.
If Wilder walked down the streets in New York, more people wouldn't recognise him than would.
I think more people wouldn't. But maybe now, a little bit more attention, right? He's a very noticeable guy. First of all, I mean, if he's 6'7" or 6'8", whatever it is, that just makes him noticeable already. You know what I'm saying? That makes him noticeable already. But you know, it's going to be hardcore boxing fans that know who he is, and you know, Anthony Joshua's walking down the streets. This guy got billboards, you know, of him. You know, he's got endorsement deals. People know who this man is. It's like you're underestimating because you're letting your feelings get in the way. That's all it is.
Someone said in the chat, all boxing fans in the UK know who Wilder is. They may know who he is, but they've never watched him fight before. You know, in terms of casuals, man. Casuals have never seen Wilder fight before. They only know Wilder because fucking Eddie Earn and Joshua keep talking about it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
because they're promoting him better than Al Heyman and Lou DiBella, who's worthless. Lou DiBella is worthless. I'm sorry, he just is.
No one's going to watch the fight, man. Well, people may know him. People may know him. But if you said to most of these casual fans, oh, you know, who would you say? What, you know, name me, you know, Wilder's last win. They won't be able to answer it.
No, they won't be able to answer it.
I've said it before.
Go ahead, BJ. I'm sorry.
Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't understand why Deontay Wilder isn't a biggest star. I mean, this guy is talkative. He's boisterous. He's a hard puncher. He's young. He's what young people want to see, you know, in their athletes nowadays.
I disagree. I don't know what young people want to see. I don't like his style. Don't like him. He comes off cringy. He's a poor technique at times. I think that's why he's not as big. If he had better technique, and it was like his trash talk was like on point and wasn't cringy at all, he would be a bigger star.
Okay, so you think
someone in the chat? Someone.
It's like Lomachenko. You know Lomachenko. He has skill. Obviously, he's not like big yet, but he has good skill. He's decent at trash talking. He's like subtle, but I enjoy it. I enjoy stuff like that. Not what Wilder's doing. It's all cringy. It's all like, I just don't like him at all. I think
I agree with Apology. Apology, I agree with you. I'm talking about the bigger picture. The reason why I think, and the cringeworthy, the behavior that he displays only attracts certain kind of people, right? But I think that they're just missing they're misrepresenting him in terms of promoting him, right? Making him a bigger star. They could make him a big star. It's just that they don't have the know-how.
he surrounded himself with stupid people. That's just my opinion. Okay.
What he does in the ring.
Catch Noah, man. Catch Noah in the chat says the comment, but he says if Deontay Wilder walked down the streets of New York, cops would shoot him in the back.
Come on, man. That's a stereotype. That they wouldn't do that to him.
All right, now it's interesting because who said that in the
Canelo, that wouldn't happen. Now, if he was in the middle of a fight, maybe I could see that. He's
well,
in the
Brandon
fight in the streets. He's a big man.
Brandon just made a good comment. He says, "Just be glad the fight is happening." Well, the fight isn't happening because they're still, haggling. They're still discussing.
I don't understand.
What?
Oh, it's only me and you, Bucho. A Bucho BDA.
The Bucho wanted to say. Oh, everybody. Everybody dropped out. Okay, everybody's back. Well, except
usually because Stu's not back, man. It's just me that stays on.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Let me ask you a question. Do you guys really want the fight to happen this year after the last two performances from both guys? Like, I'm not hyped anymore. I do. I'm not hyped. Like next year,
I don't really care.
Good
performance. If somebody turned around and said to me right now,
someone
turned around to me now and said, "This fight, I can tell you this fight's not happening this year," I'd be like, "So what, man? Who cares?"
Yeah, because of the last two performances by both men, you're not hyped anymore.
Nah,
they're not knocking people out anymore. They're not looking good.
I disagree. I still want to see the fight. All right, Butch, are you there?
I'd rather
Garcia.
Garcia. I've obviously Glocking Saunders over that fight.
No, okay, hold on. I want to get Butcho's take on this. Butcho, are you still? I think you already mentioned it, but just remind us. Wilder, Joshua, are you still? Would you be excited for the fight, or after their last performances, are you a little bit on the fence about it?
I mean, I would be excited, but I just wouldn't go crazy.
You wouldn't go gaga over it, like they say?
Yeah.
Me too. I'm with Butcho.
Yeah. We go Radio Gaga.
It's a big mainstream fight.
But hold on. I want to ask Apology because he's the one that started this. Apology, you're saying you're May on the fight. You don't really care. But come on, I mean, Joshua versus Parker, that wasn't going to be an easy fight for Joshua. Parker's a slippery guy, not slick, slippery. So I mean,
of course, but I expected like maybe it was my fault for overhyping Joshua, but I expected like a KO or more dominated win. Maybe that's just my fault. I don't know.
Yeah, it is your fault. I'll say it right now. It is your fault. You got to step it up. That's all I'll say about
that. The fight went bad because of you, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was all my fault. No, seriously, like I just expected more for both men, especially Joshua. Like I thought he was a good spot in the Takam fight, but I expected a better stoppage, and the Parker fight. I don't know, man. Even the Klitschko fight, I expected a lot more from him.
But and by the way, I give Wilder a better chance than before. You know, I'm not saying that he doesn't have a good shot of winning this fight. He could win this fight, but that's not what it has to do with. I doubt that this fight takes place this year. They're gonna build it up, man. This is a mainstream fight. This is to you know, get all the fangirls, you know, all hyped up and you know, calling for the fight to happen even more. Draw more attention, you know, and make the fight bigger than what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And I think Wilder, to be fair, I think that Wilder is his chances of becoming a big star here. I don't know if he'll be like really big. His chances of being a bigger star in the States is getting better. It is getting better. You know, he's calling out Anthony Joshua, so the people are knowing who he is around the world a little bit more. So there's a chance that this fight could be bigger.
Speaking of heavyweights, man, just off topic, has anyone noticed that WBC ordered Luis Ortiz versus Dylan White for a final eliminator for Wilder?
Yeah, we saw that yesterday.
That's bullshit. That's such bullshit. They did that with Slaverne as well. Like this is why Wilder. I hate Wilder because he's not fighting good names a lot. Yeah. He's fighting same old. Was he going to fight Ortiz again as well? Really?
I want my fucking money.
It's all about the money, guys. It's legacy and money.
If Ortiz wins, is he going to fight Ortiz again? I mean,
yeah,
that fight's not going to happen. That fight's not going to happen, man. Hearn will not put White in with Ortiz. White would fight him, but Hearn ain't making that. They're talking about White versus Pulev for the IBF mandatory, so I think they're kind of going away from Wilder. Then again, you know, I mean, the thing is with Wilder, you don't want to fight White, obviously. I mean, you know, Hearn offered him a shitload of money to come to UK, biggest purse ever, and he's not going to take that fight. I mean, if it falls an easy fight, like he thinks he does, then take the big money and fucking take the fight. But you know, if he's not going to accept a voluntary that much money, then he ain't going to fight him as a mandatory. So, in my opinion, this is going to take White away from the Wilder fight now. And
Cameron, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
If Dillian Whyte fights for the IBF and wins, he's mandatory for Joshua, right?
Yeah, if he beats Pulev, yeah.
Is Eddie Hearn gonna put him with Joshua again? Like, we talk about Ortiz and Wilder, but Hearn's not gonna put in Dillian Whyte with Joshua again. So where's Dillian Whyte gonna go?
Yeah, well, that fight's big, innit? I mean, Hearn said it before. He wants to make the rematch. Joshua wants a rematch. White wants a rematch. But Hearn, they all preferred it if White beat Wilder, so they have all the belts for the fight. But obviously, that's not going to happen now. So when Joshua wants that rematch, I think that rematch happens, man. I think that rematch happens next year. Maybe the end of this year, maybe next year. Because obviously, Joshua's going to fight, you know, potentially Miller in the summer, or Povetkin. They're talking about, aren't they? I mean, if he fights Povetkin or Miller, he might fight White at the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, can I interject here? I want to read some comments from the chat room. Grievous says, White rocked Anthony Joshua. Imagine what Wilder would do to AJ. And then Hakuna Matata says, AJ struggled against a 41-year-old Klitschko. And then, who said this? Hold on a second. Somebody came back and said, yeah, well, Molina staggered Wilder, so imagine what he would do. Who said that? Hold on a second. I can't find the comment anymore. Oh yeah, Fam Ollie says. So Carlos, was that
a 41-year-old Klitschko would be a tough fight. If you put Klitschko in there with anyone a year ago outside of Fury, he would give him a tough fight. I mean, think of it like this: Joshua stylistically, Klitschko made a career. I've said this so many times. Klitschko made a career of knocking out styles like Joshua. They're tailor-made for him. The only reason he didn't win that fight is because he was old. You know, he didn't have it in the tank to stop him when he should have done. You know, people have said it. If it was a few years before, Klitschko would have knocked him out. The only reason he lost that fight was because he was just old. But you know, Klitschko stylistically, so Joshua stylistically was tailor-made for Klitschko. But the problem is he was just too old. He was past that point.
Yeah, that's. Well, I mean, I do think, Klitschko from 3 years prior to that, 2010, 2011, Klitschko would have beaten.
No, even if Klitschko had beat Pulev in 2014, would have beat Joshua.
Yep. Oh. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think he would have beat. I think he would have beat Joshua. I think the fighter that fought Anthony Joshua, the 41-year-old Klitschko would have beat. At that time, he would have beat Wilder.
Yeah.
In that fight, I think he would have beat. Yeah, because like he said, that style is tailor-made for him.
Right. Now, that's what the thing that people are coming up. Listen, people are divided on this one. People are saying, well, Joshua struggled against Parker and Klitschko, so that's imagine what Wilder would do. The other people are saying, well, Wilder was staggered against Molina and Ortiz. Imagine what Joshua would do. So there's arguments on both sides. And by the way, can somebody remind me exactly what happened between Ortiz and Wilder prior to the fight? Because I was watching it on mute before the fight started, so I didn't really get to hear what was going on with Ortiz. They say he had high blood pressure or something.
But the division. Let me just say something off that before that. The division is
so poor
that you can pick holes in anything that Joshua and Wilder do. Because the division's that poor. It doesn't matter who they face. People will pick holes in the fights. You know, Joshua didn't look good against Klitschko. You know, Wilder. You know, he got rocked by Ortiz. Imagine what Joshua would do to him. Blah blah blah.
Right.
It's always going to be the case, man. I mean, the division's that just. You know, there's no standout fighter in the division. Joshua Wilder kind of seen as standout guys, but. I said it on Twitter after Wilder fought Ortiz. You know, it doesn't matter what Wilder does or what Joshua does. Until they fight each other, they're not going to get credit. And even when one of them beats each other, you know, there's still going to be people who won't give them credit. So people are going to keep picking holes and picking holes. It's just boxing.
Now, that's a good point because this heavyweight division, like you said, it's nobody's really been proved themselves 100%. Even Joshua against Klitschko. But my question,
you might get it. He doesn't fucking get it.
My question was, fuck, what was my question? Oh yeah, what happened between Ortiz prior to the Wilder fight? Was he fit to fight, or did he have some serious problems that should have prevented him from stepping into the ring?
He was sabotaged, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Was that? Hold on, apology. What did you say?
He was sabotaged, in my opinion.
Sabotaged. Okay, that's a salacious story. What do you mean by that?
Like this, Wilder just needs every advantage in the book.
Okay. So, what do you think happened? You think they slipped? I mean, what are you talking about?
Like, didn't Ortiz have a broken hand as well before the fight?
He had a bump, which people started saying that he had way before that, but I never found any pictures where he had a bump.
Of course he did.
Exactly. Yeah. So you think he got the? You think they gave him the casino treatment with the hammer to the hand?
Yeah, I gave him some like shake that increased his blood pressure.
Now hold on a second.
You look at the, you know, after he failed, after he had the issue with the drug test,
right.
You know, he got drug tested a lot before that for the Wilder fight actually happened. Was it something like 15 times in a month or something like that before the fight? That's a lot of blood, man. He's losing, and you know, I've had blood tests. You know, I've just filled up 4 tubes of blood tests in one go, man, and I felt fucking the difference. So for him to be tested 15 months in one go, in a month, it has an effect on you. I feel like Ortiz, like Apology said, you know, there was a lot of factors that were edging towards Wilder in that fight, and I just feel like Wilder kind of caught Ortiz at the right moment in terms of his physicality and maybe his mental state as well. Because you know, if you're physically not at your best, you're mentally not at your best. So I feel like that played a part in that fight.
Cameron, how many times was Wilder tested?
Well, we don't know.
Exactly.
That's the question. That is the question with a lot of these A-side guys, and what I've realized is that they, you know, how do we know they're being truly tested? Again, I don't care about these things about who's taking PEDs or not. I mean, I think boxing fans really don't really care about that. They just use that as an excuse. But you don't know what Ortiz came into that fight. The guy has high blood pressure. He looks a lot older than he stated as on BoxRec or whatever. You know, he wasn't, like Cameron said, he wasn't at his physical best in that fight. Okay, there was a reason why they waited him out. Remember, Ortiz wanted that fight back in 2016 or 2017, I believe. Okay, he wanted that fight. It wasn't until he signed with Al Heyman, right? He signed with Al Heyman, then the fight got done. Okay, so what has Wilder shown? Wilder hasn't shown the No, I was going to say real quick. Wilder hasn't shown the willingness to go in there and fight guys that are not under control of his same management, and that's where these conspiracy theories come in. And not only that, you know, some of the fights that have gotten stopped and some of the bullshit that has happened look like it favored Wilder at the same time. Not saying that it doesn't happen with Anthony Joshua, because I've seen the same thing with Joshua, okay? But the difference between them two is that, you know, Joshua's willing to fight guys that are not part of Eddie Hearn's, you know, stable or plantation. like some Wilder fans like to say.
Yeah, I got fucking boxing style in the chat saying I'm an AJ fanboy. Boxing style, man. Yeah, I'm such an AJ fanboy. I'm blocked by him on Twitter, man, for calling him out on some of his bullshit over the years, man. So I can tell you that I'm not a fanboy of Joshua. I'll tell you that.
Well, why did they ban you? Were you talking about his cock or something? Or?
No, he blocked me on Twitter because he blocked me on Twitter for, I don't know why he blocked me, man. The same guy said he didn't like. I think it was something to do with superior race thing. Like Tyson Fury, obviously he got questioned, and I quoted a tweet saying it's a shame the reporters don't question Anthony Joshua about superior race comments like this, and he got a load of fucking retweets, and obviously I ended up getting blocked for it. So obviously, you know, someone put that out there and then he fucking saw it or something. But yeah, I'm blocked by Joshua, man. So I'm far from a fucking fanboy, bro.
I mean, I don't know. Listen, the whole thing about Ortiz getting blood tests and that affected him. I'd have to know how many times exactly and within how much of a span he was tested. He's a grown man. He's a big dude. They're not taking liters of blood away from him. I want to have more details on that one before I can say that that was the reason why he got knocked out. I mean, I don't know. It seems to me like there's a lot of people out there that don't want to give Wilder his credit for beating Ortiz.
Look, I give Wilder his credit for beating him. All right? This is the way I look at it. I don't care what anybody thinks. I look at it as this. The A side has all the advantage to win the fight. Going into that fight, I thought Wilder was too stupid to pull it off. He won. He proved. So I give him credit. Now, that's just my theory. That's all it is. It's my theory. My theory is that the A side has all the advantages to win the fight. Okay? And going in, I didn't think he was intelligent enough. So I thought that Ortiz had a great shot of winning. Okay, despite that the fight's going to be stacked against him, Wilder proved otherwise. He weathered the storm. Whether the referee stepped in 20 seconds or whatever it was, doesn't matter to me. He weathered the storm. He stopped Ortiz. Whether Ortiz is 50 years old or 40 years old, it doesn't matter to me. He won the fight where I had questions that he could win the fight. I doubted it that he could.
Just want to say, well, just want to get out there, just to clear this up for once and for all, because it's still getting fucking mentioned in the chat. Fam Ollie, I've not mentioned arse eating once tonight, so there's no point talking about that in the chat.
Let's move on. Let's move on from that. Let's move on.
Apology, man. I'm trying to move on, man. I don't bring it up. You know what I'm saying?
I'm talking about everyone in the chat as well. Let's just move on.
Everybody talks about it, man. Like, I can't escape it. Even people on my own fucking channel started talking about it.
Hey, here's a question from the chat. Like, how many pay-per-views do you think Joshua against Wilder would do in the US? How many pay-per-views?
Right now, I'll say 1 million.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I say 1 million. It could do 1 million.
Yeah, I think so too. But like, he would like around 1 million, maybe under 1 million a bit. Let's be honest, nobody knows Wilder in the US. I mean, how would they promote this fight? How do you approach this? I mean, you have like two undefeated heavyweight champions, but nobody really knows Wilder that much. So it would be hard to promote this fight.
It's a pay-per-view. Listen, if Chad Dawson versus Bernard Hopkins is pay-per-view in the US, this fucking fight is.
Wait, that was pay-per-view? Damn.
Yeah, so like, it did not sound like, what was it, like 70,000 buys or something?
Okay, wait. So hold on. Let's say it makes $1 million pay-per-view buys. Where do you get 50 million just for Joshua?
That's right. That's right. You see?
Fucking Roy Jones versus Bernard Hopkins rematch was on pay-per-view, for fuck's sake. Just want to put that out there.
Oh, God.
Canelo Chavez Jr., I think, did around 1 million pay-per-view buys, correct? Did any of the boxers get $50 million? I mean, how much did Canelo get? Maybe 20?
That's a lie.
Didn't it do 750,000?
Yeah, they lied. They did way less than 1 million.
Okay, so listen, the Wilder against Joshua's not gonna make 1 million. Oh, he's gonna make maybe $1 million. I even doubt that.
You know what? I doubt it. I say the max it does is 1 million. The max.
Alvarez Chavez done about 750,000.
He did way less. I bet he did like 600 or something like that. He did way less.
Yeah, people are getting too excited.
No, everyone's dropped off again, BDA. BDA. Well, this is interesting, and guys in the chat, it's just me floating on the hangout for a bit, man. So we can talk about RC. Until everyone gets back, we can talk about RC. Oh, no, they're back. Good. Listen, man, I was on the floor for a minute.
Yeah, sorry, man. I was gonna say that a lot of people think that this Wilder Joshua fight is some sort of Pacquiao Mayweather, which is absolutely nothing near that big of a fight.
No. It's not even close to that. I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe it'll take a couple of years for it to even come close. Maybe.
All right. Recognize. Are you listening to some reggaeton in the background? Because we can hear it, man.
Right now.
You gotta,
Sorry
please.
about that.
All right. Well, I had to drop off for a couple of seconds. Did people drop off? Is that what I'm reading in the YouTube chat?
It was just was just me, man.
As usual.
Just me talking. It really dropped off, man. I was just talking to myself.
How long did it last?
What weird.
Well, I just said, let's talk about Arsenal, and then we jumped back on, thankfully.
Right. But I just came back and I heard Bucho saying that this isn't a big fight compared to Pacquiao Mayweather. Yeah, it's not as big as that one, but can we agree that it's the biggest fight barring Canelo versus Triple G?
Is it bigger or less or the same as Canelo against Golovkin in terms of hype and the money that it can generate?
Well, I tell you what,
man. Pay-per-views at the gate.
I think it's bigger because both of them are relatable, both English speaking. They can pander to ethnic minorities and stuff, and people want to see that. So I think it'll be bigger.
And they can make it a race war, you know, like British blacks against American blacks. That always riles up the masses.
They can.
Yeah.
Killmonger versus
Superior
guy's name.
It's not my man X. It's not my man X. It's not my man X. But not my man X says,
something like that.
Well, Shepherd's Son says, "Isn't Usyk versus Gassiev a 50 million fight?" How big of a fight is that? Was that?
Usyk Gassiev ain't a 50 million. I'm fucked.
Maybe he's talking 50 million in Ukrainian money or something. I don't know. In Ukrainian currency.
No. Look, the World Boxing Super Series is $50 million in the prop for the whole tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, that's split between all 8 fighters.
Right. Yeah, they're working on the budget.
50 million, but you don't get 50 million to yourself.
You don't get 50 million for winning it, man. No.
All right,
so big amount of money.
The winner might get like half of that, maybe half of that.
Well, no, every round people got 7-figure checks. So, yeah.
Damn,
that's
nice.
That's a good payday, right? Yeah. They're gonna be eating. They're gonna be eating for the next year.
Yeah.
The harvest was good.
That's why people are entering it, man. There's a lot of money up there. I mean, even Eddie Hearn's talking about putting Ryan Burnett in there. If fucking Inoue and Tete go in there, the money's up. So.
All right, so now people, again, like I said before, people are going wild, no pun intended, about this Wilder versus Joshua offer that was just made. Some people are saying they're in disbelief. Some people say the ball is now in Joshua's court. I'm reading the comments over at Sherdog.com, the boxing part of the forum. And some guy goes, "This fight should be bigger." A guy goes, "This fight should be bigger for us than Floyd Pack." I'm thinking, what are you? I mean, I know they're heavyweights, and I know heavyweights will always generate more money. But like, I agree with Bucho, Mayweather Pacquiao. It's gonna take a huge fight to beat that one, or even come close to matching it.
Sherdog is where I started out, like in boxing. When I first got into boxing, Sherdog's where I started out, man.
Really?
But no, that no fights. Look, Joshua Wilder's not gonna come anywhere close to Mayweather Pacquiao numbers. It never will. No fight will. I mean, you had Mayweather McGregor, didn't you? Right, we're talking about, if someone's going to get close to that fight, we're talking 2 megastars that are transcended around the world. You know, Joshua and Wilder don't do a third of that, man. Not even, they don't do
I don't think
a quarter of that now.
Even if you give them years and years, they don't ever will. It's just Mayweather and Pacquiao, exactly. Good names on their record.
I think plus, once
yeah, and the heavyweight was so weak.
Mayweather Pacquiao was a fight that, in sort of stage of the career, the fighters, how big they were. We might not see that sort of thing in our lifetime. No, in our lifetime.
It's interesting that I'm on the boxing scene forum now, and somebody goes, curious to see what Hearn says. After all, he's the one with his hand up AJ's ass, working the controls. You know what? One of the things that I've been noticing with AJ fans and Wilder fans going back and forth against each other, they're very obsessed with who's being controlled by who. Listen, guys, they're fighters. They got promoters. The promoters, at the end of the day, call the shots. Yes, the fighter, in theory, has the right to say, listen, promoter, get me this guy, get me that guy. But in the real world, hold on a second. But in the real world, the promoter is the one. So these people that think that AJ is some type of puppet, well, why do you think Wilder is? You think Wilder makes his own decisions?
No, Wilder is his own businessman. Savvy, intelligent, smart businessman.
I mean, these people are obsessed with who's controlling who, man.
I guess because they like controlling their lives.
Yeah, that's how idiots fantasize. Yeah, that's how
I thought we had excellent on. Yeah, man, X says this sort of shit.
Yeah, X.
Strong, independent brother, man. Wilder's a strong,
that,
independent brother, man. He ain't no slave.
Right, he ain't no slave.
Well,
it's the kind of nonsense that, you know, they don't know what they're talking about. Wilder's being controlled just as well. You know?
No, he's not, man. Don't say that, man. Don't say that, man.
Oh, how dare you? Are you crazy? No.
X is going to do a video about you now, man.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's coming.
Calling you a racist and all that.
And by the way, how close did Mayweather-McGregor come to upsetting the Manny Pacquiao-Mayweather numbers? I mean, did it come close or?
Not far, man. Isn't it like 100,000 off or something?
Whoa.
Didn't it beat the numbers? Wait.
No, it didn't beat it pay-per-view wise, but
beat it view or something like that.
But he got more money. So apparently Floyd got more money because of the split, right? What was on the pot. Now the pot was bigger with Pacquiao Mayweather, right? And I think it did like Pacquiao Mayweather did $4.5 million, where in pay-per-view buys where Floyd and McGregor did a little over $4 million, I believe. So it was pretty close, but his payday was actually bigger.
I just read somewhere that it did more, but I guess I was wrong.
Well, Mayweather, no, it didn't do more pay-per-view bars. No, that Mayweather Pacquiao still the record. That's good, man. It's good to see. You know, proper boxing match is still the record.
Well, that's yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, but non-boxing versus MMA is still top 5. So.
Well,
yeah, as long as it's not number 1, though, man, it's all good. I mean, if you make if somebody says no one's gonna say what's the top 5 pay-per-view, someone's gonna say what's the highest pay-per-view, earner. It's gonna be Mayweather Pacquiao. It's not gonna be Mayweather fucking McGregor. You know?
Well, it's interesting. Look, bottom line, guys, we're talking all this talk about money and about pay-per-view buys, and at the end of the day, I'll tell you this: I want to see the fight. It's between Joshua and Wilder. It's 2 power punchers. It might not be all-out action every single moment of the fight, but you're going to be on the edge of your seats because you know at any moment one punch is going to be able to end the fight. So that's what's going to keep us on the edge. I want to see the fight. And at the end of the day, when the fight finally gets done, and it's happening at some point, all this talk about money and who's avoiding who and who's got whose hand up their ass, it's going to be irrelevant.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's going to be a tactical fight. I have a feeling that fight's going to be tactical. For at least the first
do you know what, man?
rounds.
You know what? I mean, yeah, BDA, you're right about one thing. You know, the fight could end in one punch.
I'm right about everything.
Josh was never put anyone to sleep. So, in one punch anyway.
Well, he could
apart from Zambano, Loveman, and Dylan White, who was exhausted. But Josh was never knocked someone's spark out.
But he can knock Wilder out with one punch.
I don't know, man. Listen, man, if Ortiz can't, Ortiz punches harder than Joshua, in my opinion.
I don't disagree, but it's a styles thing. I think Joshua can get inside faster than Ortiz, the 50-year-old Ortiz. And by the way, I gotta keep saying 50 years old because I'm just saying that as a joke, but Ortiz was pretty slow. We all knew coming in, hence why I had picked Wilder to win that fight because of the lack of speed. And it's true that Joshua isn't as fast as Wilder. I still think Wilder with that right hand is faster. And by the way, Cameron, you're supposed to be an AJ fanboy. You're supposed to be backing me up on this one, not challenging me.
Oh yeah, sorry man, I'm an AJ fanboy. Yeah, Joshua knocks Wilder out inside 2 rounds.
There you go. That's the Cameron I like and know. All right, so bottom line, how many pay-per-view buys does this fight make in the United States?
Under $1 million.
Under, but close.
Yeah, under $1 million.
Doesn't do close to $1 million in my opinion.
I think it does more than GTG Canelo.
You think it does more than Triple G versus Canelo, or less? I didn't hear.
I think it does, mate. I think it does maybe 400,000. I think it does 400,000 in the US. 400,000 in the US, man.
All right, I'm hearing some squishing sounds. Remember, guys, if you're not gonna talk, mute that that mic.
Did Did Golovkin and Canelo did over $1 million?
All right, so
it's like shredding paper or something in the background.
I think he's doing some santeria or something. Are you cooking a chicken there?
Yeah, I'm doing some santeria.
Are you dismantling a chicken? Is that what's going on there?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, are you serious? Are you dismantling a chicken?
It's time to eat.
All right. I love me some chicken, by the way. I think we were talking about that with Vic Martirosyan over at Cameron Gillon's podcast. And what did he say, Cameron? He doesn't like chicken all that much. Oh, no. Wait. Was that in your podcast or was it here where we were talking about chicken and steak being better than chicken?
No, that was a Martin Rojan.
Oh, fuck. Who was it then? Anyway, I don't know about you.
That's where we spoke about it on mine.
Yeah, that's what we talked about, right? The difference between chicken and steak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You asked him about his diet, and he said he didn't eat chicken.
And by the way, was that apology? I didn't hear you.
Chicken's so much better.
Well, now that depends. See, that depends. Depends on what part of the chicken we're talking about. Because if we're talking about the chicken breast,
all of it. All of it is better than the steak.
All right, Cameron is a steak man. Hold on, one at a time, please. One at a time. Apology. You're saying every part of the chicken is good, but what about the chicken breast, which can be pretty dry?
Well, it depends what you have it with and how you cook it.
Gravy.
Gravy.
I just find steak dry. Even if you put sauce in it, it's still kind of dry. And I'm not the biggest fan.
Oh, I can eat steak, but I'll just cook a bit of steak in the oven and eat it like that, man, with nothing on it.
No,
I love it.
How can you do that? It just will get stuck in your throat and you're, no, man, I can't do that.
Wait.
Yeah, man, the amount of times I've had it stuck in my throat, man, it's not great, but fuck it. Get a drink ready, man.
I can't do steak like that. It has to be drenched in sauce.
Yep,
gravy.
Precise in the chat room, shout out to Precise, and he says we digest raw meat just fine, red, white, and pink. From what I understand, if you're going to the supermarket and eating raw meat, you're gonna get fucked up because of all it's dirty meat. But that if you eat it from nature, supposedly that's safer. But I mean,
there's a guy on YouTube. There's a guy on YouTube, man. There's a guy on YouTube who goes to the shop. I've seen a video of it. There's a guy. It's on this program where they try and sort out people's diets. So a guy went and he goes to the shop and he'll buy raw meat, raw beef and all that, raw mince and everything, and he eats it. He just opens the pack and just eats it raw, like raw fucking beef, raw chicken, and he never ever has had food poisoning. It's fucking madness.
Is he half man, half wolf, or is he does he look fully human? Is what I'm asking.
Well, yeah, of course, man. But when they did tests on him, he had so much bacteria and all these things inside of him, man. Like his digestive system, like, it wasn't digesting, these meats from ages ago. Still, there were still kind of things in there. It's horrible. Like he ended up started cooking it, but he said he just liked the texture of raw meats. I mean,
wait,
man, but
when you're saying
if you eat one raw meat,
you're saying they did tests on him. Are you referring to the bacteria in his gut?
Yeah.
And are you saying that bad bacteria because of the meat, or are you saying that there was good bacteria and that's why he was able to eat it raw, the meat?
No, he had so much bad bacteria inside of him, man, because he was eating raw meat. Like, just opening the packet and just eating it.
Yeah.
Go to the shop, buying a raw. You can go to the shop and buy steaks and beefs and things like that, and you can just kind of cook it and everything. It's ready. He was just eating it out of the pack.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, man. I mean, that's just, like I said, supermarket meat. Like Grievous says, the guy's gonna get mad cow disease or something. I mean, that is absolutely disgusting. Eating raw meat right out of the packet. It's interesting because there was a not the Eskimos, but the Aboriginals in Canada, northern Canada, they eat raw meat. They eat raw seal, and they yeah, it's all bloody and everything, and they're eating it. And supposedly they're pretty much some of the healthiest people you will ever meet because they have to eat.
That's down to, sorry, go on.
No, what'd you say?
It's down to genetics, I think.
Yeah.
They have like
I mean,
enzymes in the tummy.
If I went downstairs now and opened a pack of mints that's in the freezer and just ate it raw, man, I might not be here tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So
we have like westernized bodies, and they live in like their close communities where they breed with each other, so they pass on that gene.
Yeah, that's a good point there. They're through the years and genetically they've been resistant to that. And also you gotta keep in mind these people when they're young they start eating it, so their immune system gets used to that. Their gut bacteria and all that it gets used to it. But man, I mean, they're used to it. Yes.
I'm just gonna go grab something to eat, man. So I'll be back in a bit.
All right. If we're not back. If we're not back if you were not here when you get back, that means we probably ended the show. Maybe bacteria can survive.
About 5 minutes, man.
All right, cool. Shepherd the Sun says maybe bacteria can survive in that climate. Fam Ollie asks, what goes with raw meat anyway? Yeah, I mean, I don't suppose you can just put salt and pepper on that and it's gonna taste differently. Boxy Style says apology is strictly on a dick diet. Now wait a minute, apology. Does Boxy Style have something against you or?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what I did.
No, I think he's just fucking around, but still going at your heart, man.
Okay.
All right. Precise Puncher says you guys are brainwashed and fearful. Sorry. Are you talking about us, Precise? Because let me tell you something. The last person that called me fearful, they got quite a lashing. Let's just put it that way. Fight Scout says
it's raw meat. Come on.
Well, like I said, I mean, if you do it little by little, because listen, we're from the city and all that, we're not used to eating raw meat. But like I said, these Aboriginals and all that, they do it since they're young, so they're accustomed to it. They can handle it.
Doesn't cooking the meat kill the bacteria anyway? That's the whole point of you cooking it.
I don't know. I mean, the point of meat. Yeah, the point of cooking meat, supposedly, the theory was that, and Butcher, I don't know if you can back me up on this, but I think the theory was that they ancient human, like our ancestors, accidentally cooked meat. Somehow something happened. They put it on the fire, and they saw that it tasted better because the cooking it actually released the juices and all that. But I don't know. That's just a theory I heard when I was in high school. So
yeah, and I don't know. I saw something similar in a documentary, but. I don't know. I'm not sure.
John Gonzalez says...
And I love meat. I'm going to eat meat and they can go fuck themselves, man.
John Gonzalez says, eat your girl's ass. It builds your immune system. We got to go back to the ass.
Stop going back there. What fights are on this weekend?
We got Isaac Dugboe taking on Jesse Magdaleno. We got Daniel Jacobs taking on Sulecki.
That's this weekend. Damn, I thought that was next week.
No. I don't know. For some reason, people keep thinking it's next, not this Saturday, the next. But look, listen, I'm looking at it right now. April 28th, Jesse Magdaleno, Isaac Dugboe, Jacob Sulecki.
In both fights.
Listen, I want to save that type of talk for Saturday. That's when we're going to really get into it. But, by the way, apology, man.
Sorry,
you wanted to talk about the Avengers. Are you a comic book fan? Is that what's going on here?
Not exactly, more just a movie. I mean, I'm trying to get into the comic book.
Right.
I mean, I read DC Flashpoint, where basically Flash just goes back in time, ruins everything. But I'm trying to get into the comics, but I'm just kind of lazy. So yeah.
Yeah, because those movies. What are they up to now? The 8th Avengers movie? Is that where they're at?
Yeah, I think so. It's 8, probably more than 8th, but yeah.
Jeez Louise. Pavel asks, does Cameron have pinworms from all that ass eating? What the hell is pinworm? What's a pinworm?
From like ass eating. I think they're like, I don't know, I heard they eat away at your mouth and stuff and like make you vomit and like fuck up your and stuff like that.
Let me tell you something. I like to make disgusting jokes every once in a while and all that, but when it comes to parasites, I cannot handle it. People, John Gonzalez.
Throat cancer as well. Sorry, they give you throat cancer as well, so you have to take out your what's it called?
Larynx. The larynx.
Yeah, larynx. And what's the other one?
The tongue. I think they cut your tongue off.
The one just at the back of the throat. Tonsils.
Ah, well, they're supposed to take those off anyway.
You have to take them.
John Gonzalez says the cannibal holocaust diet for life. Are you fucking insane, John? There's probably people that have tried that. There's probably somebody out there with a bunch of human meat in his freezer, and oof, that's disgusting. I've never seen the movie, by the way, Cannibal Holocaust. I don't intend to.
President used to eat people. I think was it Kenya or
Zaire? I think it was Zaire.
Western, Southern African countries.
I think it was Zaire, now known as the Congo. I think that was Mobutu Sese Seke. I think that's what that was his name. And I think also the Haitian dictator. What was his name?
Fucking vile.
What was that?
Fucking vile, man.
Yeah, I know, man. I know. By the way, Bucho, do you remember that show that used to play on was it the Discovery Channel, where people got attacked by, it was people retelling the stories of how they had been, how they had contracted parasites. I think it was called Monsters.
No, I don't remember.
There was a show, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a show called Monsters Inside Me. And it was all these horror stories of people who had gone to the jungle or whatever, and they caught parasites. And every time I saw that show, I felt the need to itch, to scratch my skin. I felt itchy. It was just a disgusting show, and I don't want to see it anymore. I stopped watching it because it was just too. Ugh. Even now, I'm getting the jeebies. I'm being attacked by the jeebies. But yeah, all that to say, you gotta cook your meat, man. You gotta cook that meat. We're not equipped, all of us, to be able to eat raw meat.
Have you guys ever talked about Pizzagate on the Second Renaissance or here?
Sorry, I don't even. What did you say?
Have you ever talked about Pizzagate?
Is that what happened when they shut, like, all the pizza makers went on strike, and there was no pizza, and all these Italian people went nuts?
Basically, people in power ordering pizzas, but they're not really ordering pizzas, just children. They're ordering to fondle with, but they disguise it as pizza orders. That's the basic gist of it.
So they're ordering pizza, but they're not ordering Domino's. They're actually ordering Dominic. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Dominic.
No, it's interesting. I didn't know you could order kids out. I mean, I know Chinese food, Pakistani food, but kids. I mean,
you can order anything with the right people, right money.
Well, we were talking about meat. Do you believe that there's people out there? You're saying, oh, there's rich people out there that they order kids. Do you think there's rich people out there that eat human flesh?
I mean, it's when you're rich, it's like, why not? Why not try it? Why not do anything? You have all this money, you might as well spend on something.
You know what?
So probably, yeah.
The reason I asked that is because, when people do stuff like Cameron, he leads a very libertine life, eating ass and all that. There comes a point, that's what they always say, that if you start pushing the envelope, eventually you have to keep pushing it just to get off. So I don't know if it's the same thing with food, where people eat everything that's alive, and then they start eating endangered animals, and then at some point they go, you know what? I've tasted everything. How about human flesh? That's the legend that goes around the internet. But I don't know if it's. I don't know. I mean, how can you prove if somebody really is eating human meat?
It's like, don't they call it chasing the dragon? When you take one drug and then you have to take another drug to get the rush again, get the feeling. I think that's what happened to pedophiles as well. They start off by watching porn or track to adults, and then they need to get a rush, so they go younger.
Jeez. You know what?
It's called chasing the dragon.
If you're gonna eat, I mean, if it's a choice between being a sexual predator and a pedophile or being somebody that eats endangered animals, I'd rather eat endangered animals. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a controversial stance. I don't know, but that's the one I'm taking.
As addiction happens, it starts off with something small, then it goes bigger.
Wow. Well, that is absolutely disgusting. Thank you for ruining my evening. I think that's a conversation that's better off for Second Renaissance. We don't want to bum, because when you go to Second Renaissance, people know what they're gonna get. But when people come here boxing and they start talking about those conspiracies, some people tend to get depressed or get shocked or they get belligerent. No, that's not true. You gonna have any proof? So I don't know. Let's keep it to Second Renaissance. What people are saying in the chat room. Boxing Style said, "I'll be on the next show, Cameron." All right, so Boxing Style is calling out Cameron. The Fight Scout says, "I thought Mexicans eat everything. That is an ugly stereotype, and I want you to apologize right away, Fight Scout." Pavel says, "Apparently Pizzagate got debunked." All right, we'll talk about that on Second Renaissance. Poor Dominic. "Do people drink blood?" asks Grievous, like the royal family. Again, that's another theory that's out there, and that's well suited for Second Renaissance. But apology, have you heard that people drinking blood? Is that real or?
I can't verify it's real, but I've heard of it. Like, what president was it? I forgot. Was it I don't remember, but one of the presidents did it in the US, and the royal family in the UK apparently did it as well.
Well, that is absolutely disgusting. But hey, you know what? We live in the age nowadays where you can't judge somebody. You can't say, "Oh, that person's disgusting. That person's behavior is degenerate." No, now you gotta go, "Yeah, good for him," and you gotta clap. You gotta clap. So
standards at all. Like back then, we used to have standards. This is what you do. You take responsibility for your life. You work. You do that. But now it's like you could be like a fat model. You could be a 6-year-old adult pretend to be a 6-year-old. That's what happened. We let people in charge.
Well, wait a minute. What's wrong with fat models?
Really? Do you want me to go there? I don't want to get.
Yeah, I do want you to go there.
So let's keep it that.
I mean, listen. You're going after fat people. There is a huge market of fat people out there, and I don't think you know what you're getting into by insulting fat people. I'm certainly not gonna do it. Not on this show. Tell you that much right now. Bucho, what do you think about that?
This fat son of a bitch.
What?
This fat son of a bitch is gonna call us all out. He's fat.
All right, we got nothing against fat people. I don't agree with Apology's stance. I think there should be fat models. If anything, Apology, you should be pro fat models, because then people would see the fat model and go, "Listen, I don't want to be fat," and then they go on a diet, they exercise, they go on they change their eating regimen. Come on.
No, that's not how it works. You're supposed to see strong, skinny people or fit people and you say, "Yeah, I'm going to go on the diet."
Pavel says, "BDA the chubby chaser." See what you started, Apology? See what you started?
Hey, you started. You said you liked fat people. I'm saying
whoa, I never said, I said I tolerate them. I said if somebody wants to be fat, they can be fat on their time when they're on the clock, but I never said that I'm pro-fat people.
Not in this environment where other people have to pay for their healthcare. Hell no.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good point. You're over there in the UK, so yeah, that's the funding that goes into that healthcare. All right, guys, listen.
Doesn't Canada have free healthcare as well?
Yeah, but it's a little bit different than the British version, from what I understand, which isn't much, by the way.
Okay.
All right, listen, guys. This was another BDA Boxing podcast. I think we're just about to wrap it up. I think we covered everything. I didn't even think that we were going to talk about Joshua versus Wilder again. I know we were all a little tired of it, but then this news came out about the $50 million offer. So we'll keep our eyes on it. I'll definitely be reading the comments all over the internet, because I'm telling you, man, the Wilder fans now, they're going to go crazy talking about how if Joshua doesn't take this offer, he's a pussy. So let's keep our eye on it. You know what I wanted to talk about, and I guess we'll save it for either Saturday or if we do another podcast in between, but I wanted to talk about Tank Davis, who now is saying that he's ready for Lomachenko. That's what he came out and said. So I think I'm going to have to revoke the BDA protection from Tank Davis, because I was saying that, no, listen, he doesn't have to fight Lomachenko. There's no reason why. But now that he's calling him out, I can't do anything for him. He's on his own.
He's not going to fight him.
I know, but now he's saying it openly, so it's on him.
Yeah, I want to fight Triple G instead of Marceration.
What?
I want to fight Triple G.
You said that. Are you saying that right now?
Yeah, I said that.
All right, so I can protect. So if you don't fight Triple G, I can't go around saying, "Hey, listen, there's no reason why Apology should be fighting Triple G." Now you said it. You want to fight him? Protection revoked.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, if Davis can do it, I can do it, right?
All right. Cameron, anything you want to say before we go?
I've literally just got back, man.
Oh shit.
Well, I made a drink. It's late over here, man. So I made a drink, clean my teeth, and freshen myself up for bed, man. So I've obviously come back at the right time.
Are you gonna finally get some sleep, man, or are you gonna stay awake till? What time do you usually go to bed?
Around 1-ish, man.
Okay.
When I'm not on the show, when it's not a show night, around 1 o'clock.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
I mean, I wake up at 1 o'clock until about, I wake up about 7 o'clock in the morning. So, I mean, I should get more sleep, man. But 6 hours I can survive on. Sometimes I can survive about 4. But now, man, usually I get about 6-7 hours sleep. I can kind of go off that. So.
Well, there you have it, guys.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's like I said. Are you ending the show now? Are you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Just yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Even the people that fucking do try and troll me, man. It's good.
Nobody's trying to troll you. They're just busting your balls, man.
Yeah, man. I enjoy it. I don't enjoy someone busting my balls unless it's a woman. But yeah. It's been good, man. The chat's good, man. I've said it numerous times, man. It's the best chat I've seen on a podcast in terms of an audience and the people that are listening. So yeah, it's good.
Absolutely, man. I still contend we have the best chat room and the best audience all over YouTube. Now, let's not forget, I want to give a shout out to the people that showed up on the Hangout. I want to shout out to Recognize the Matrix. Check out his channel. We're going to put the link in the description. Shout out to Cameron Gillon for showing up. We're going to put the link to his YouTube channel as well. He started a channel. Well, actually, he didn't start it. He revived it because he hadn't touched it in a while. And he's going to be doing podcasts in there as well. You might see me in there every once in a while.
Oh, yeah. Boxing style, I didn't get chocolate milkshake. Who said I got a midnight snack? Who said that? Shepherd's Sons, yeah, he was right. I got a midnight snack. But boxing style, man, you need to let that arse eating thing go, bro.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think he can let it go. Even Butch was trolling you in the chat room. He's saying midnight snack is ass.
Yeah, but Butch, I like Butch, man. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, I've literally had a midnight snack of arse at midnight before. So, yeah, man.
All right, listen, we're going to get another letter from Samantha Roddington, so we better keep this PC for the moment. I also want to thank Apology Man for showing up. Apology, if we do a second Renaissance, are you going to be there?
Well, I have a holiday for 5 days of work, so
cool.
I'm available for 5 days, so yeah, I'll probably be there.
Sensational. Always good to have you on the second Renaissance.
When is that, man?
I don't know when that's going to be. We got to pick a subject because people were, like for example, Precise said he wanted to do one on vegans. People in the chat room were saying they wanted one on the dark web. We wanted to talk about.
A good one. It's on Thursdays, isn't it?
Talk about MGTOW again.
Yeah, we could
properly without emotional, getting emotional logically.
Well, that's the thing. I wanted to talk about MGTOWs because Precise had made the offer, and we started talking about MGTOWs, and then the
response video.
Who?
I might do a response to Precise.
I see. All right. Well, listen, we might do
it's not, man. It's on Thursday, isn't it?
It's Stu's birthday.
Thursdays.
No, I was just saying it's usually on Thursdays.
Oh, okay. I thought he said it was Stu's birthday. Yeah, we usually do it on Thursdays. Yeah, but I don't know if we're gonna do one tomorrow.
Just let me know when it happens, man. I'll be in.
Perfect. All right. Good. Good. Always good to have people on board for the second Renaissance. Let's give a shout out to everybody in the chat room. Boxing Style, John Gonzalez, Precise Puncher, The Shepherd of Sons, Rotty Davis, John Gonzalez, The Quags, Brandon White, Cachinello Give Me My Fight was in there. Pavel, as always, Undercover Asian, Hakuna Matata, Gastus, The Fight Scout Proletariat, Grievous, Nicola Ferrari, Boxing Style, of course, Fam Oli, Hakuna Matata again, Corin Bread was in there as well, Chris Gonzalez. Who else? Michael Stott. Can't forget Michael. Check out his YouTube channel. We're going to put the link in the description as well. The Punisher. The Fight Scout. You guys know who you are. You make this chat room the best chat room on YouTube. You make me laugh with your comments. And you also remind me of shit when I forget. So always good to have you on board. Don't forget, like, subscribe. Subscribe to BDA Live. Subscribe to BDA or regular channel. And we'll be back on Saturday to talk about finally Isaac Dugboe versus Jesse Magdaleno. What's his name? Daniel Jacobs versus Suleki, and Jarrell Big Baby Miller taking on Duhaupas in what should be an interesting fight. I'm always happy to see that big 300-pound fighter, Miller, because I want to see what he can do in the heavyweight division. And on behalf of everybody here at BDA Boxing, BDA, Bucho, myself, Cameron, Apology, Recognize. We'll see you on the next one, folks. Take care. Thanks for watching. Oh shit, I almost hit the mic. Alright, we'll see you guys.